I did not.
Good evening. Welcome to the Jersey City Zoning Board of Adjustment. This is our regularly scheduled meeting for April 13, 2023. We'll just get started. Okay. Call to order. Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Francisco, any sunshine announcements?
Yes. In accordance with the Open Publics Meeting Act, notice has been given to the Jersey Journal, the Jersey City Reporter, El Especialito, and posted with the city clerk. We have notices to be marked.
Thank you. And can we take roll call whenever you're ready, please?
Yes. I see Commissioner Park,
Yep, hi.
Commissioner Silva,
Here.
Commissioner Arujo,
Here.
Commissioner Allen,
Here.
Commissioner Green,
Here.
and Chairman Jacobs.
Here.
We have a total of 6 commissioners present tonight with a potential 7.
Thank you. Can you swear in staff, please?
Do you solemnly swear the testimony about to give this evening will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Francisco, any correspondence or adjournments?
Yes. Let me share my screen. Give me 1 second. All right. Okay, can everyone see?
Yes.
So I'll briefly go over the adjournments that we've had from the previous meeting. All of the adjournments on this list are carried to April 27th with preservation of notice. Case Z22-040, the address is 74 Bowers. They are carried with preservation of notice as well as testimony taken. This is the same for case Z22-016. The address is 118 and 112 Old Bergen Road. Case Z22-066. The address is 158 Oakland Ave. They've carried to April 27th with preservation of notice, as well as case Z22-089. The address is 128 Glenwood Ave. And in new business, we have one item that has requested to carry. This is case item number 15, case Z23-018. The address is 119 Summit Ave. They have requested to carry also to April 27th with April 27th. And the remaining items will go forward tonight.
Okay. Thank you, Francisco. So because we have 6 commissioners right now, we're going to start with the extensions. So we are going to start with what's listed as number 10 on the agenda, case Z23-017. Just so people, who are listening are aware, we will then proceed with the extension in case Z23-014, which is 79 Romaine Avenue, and then case Z23-009, which is 78 Storms Avenue, and then we will go to case Z23-015, which is 234th Street, and then we will go back to number 8 on the agenda, which is 24 Clifton Place. So case Z23-017, address 847-849 Communipaw Avenue, is Mr. Flagger or anyone else on this ready?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Marty Flagger speaking on behalf of the applicant.
Great. I'm sure that you'll tell me very quickly, you know, what this is about, and we'll be able to move forward.
So we received approval back in 2021. We're at the end of our 2-year protection period. The applicant here is requesting, in this case, the full 3-year extension, just based on the realities of where we are with the supply chain issues, lead times for especially electrical items. We do have a tenant on the property that we still need to end that lease with. So there's just been obviously a host of issues, and we're just looking so we don't have to come back to get as much time as we can on the extension of that period of protection.
Okay. And I am not saying that you need to have any more testimony. Do you have anyone else that you want to speak on your behalf, or is that the entire extent of what you're saying about your 3-year extension?
Yeah, we have no witnesses or anything else, just myself.
Okay. Great. Are there any questions from the public about this extension on 847-849 Communipaw Avenue? Just a reminder to the public on these extensions, it's not a rehash of the applications. The applications have already been approved. This is only to discuss the extension to the project. Francisco, anyone have any questions?
No, at this time, I do not see any hands that are raised.
Okay, thank you. So we'll close the public portion of this application. I assume staff has pretty limited comments on this.
Yeah, that's correct. So staff, the only comment and recommendation is to keep the prior approval conditions. That's pretty much it.
And I'm sure that Mr. Flager will tell me that is completely acceptable.
Completely acceptable, and they do run with the application.
Okay. Does anyone from the board have any questions or comments, or otherwise want to make a motion to approve the extension?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion to approve the extension of the 3 1-year extensions for the case number Z23-017 847-849 Communipaw Avenue.
Second,
Commissioner Park.
I just said I second it.
Oh,
Oh, are you voting yes?
Oh, yes, sorry.
okay.
Yes.
Commissioner Silva,
Yes.
Commissioner Arujo,
Yes.
Commissioner Allen,
Yes.
Commissioner Green,
Yes.
and Chairman Jacobs.
Yes.
Motion carries, all in favor.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you. Good luck when it gets started.
Thank you. Francisco, I'm going to
Sorry.
It's okay. You guys will talk offline. All right. We'll proceed with case Z23-014. This is a 1-year extension for 79 Romaine Avenue.
Promoting
Is
my.
Miss- Yes.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Michael Higgins on behalf of 79 Romaine Realty LLC, the applicant. This is an extension, so no notice was required. So I'll be brief. The applicant obtained major site plan approvals with variances on September 22nd, 2022. This was memorialized by a resolution on November 10th, 2022, and those approvals will expire November 10th, 2024. We're seeking a 1-year extension that would take us onto November 10th, 2025. This extension is required because, unfortunately, our architect Mukti Bajaj passed away earlier this year, and the applicant wanted to allow some time for family members to grieve, but is now seeking to retain a new architect and proceed. That sums up the situation, but if any members of the board have any questions, I can address them.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from the public on this case, Z23-014, 1-year extension for 79 Romaine Avenue?
At this time, I don't see any hands raised.
Thank you, Francisco. We're gonna close the public portion of this application. Staff, I assume no comments?
No, just the same as the other application, just to continue the prior approval conditions.
And I'm sure Mr. Higgins that is totally acceptable.
Of course, those are acceptable.
Okay. Anyone from the board have any questions or comments regarding this application or otherwise want to make a motion to approve the extension for KC 23-014?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve KZ 23-014 for a 1-year extension with conditions, 79 Romaine Avenue.
I second.
Okay, Commissioner Park,
Yes.
Commissioner Silva,
Yes.
Commissioner Arujo,
Yes.
Commissioner Allen,
Yes.
Commissioner Green,
Yes.
and Chairman Jacobs.
Yes.
Motion carries, all in favor.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck. Okay, so we're going to proceed with case C 23-009. This is 78 Storms Avenue.
Promoting Chuck Harrington.
Okay, good evening, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. For the record, Charles Harrington of Connell Foley on behalf of the applicant. I did provide notices for the request for the extension. We just do that as a matter of course, so I just asked that they be reviewed and marked into evidence.
Sure, let's mark them for your application as A1.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Yes, I'll be quick on this. This is an application that was approved in 2019. We did receive prior extensions through the most recent one is due to expire on April 25th, 2023. So within the next 2 weeks. This is your typical application that was delayed through the COVID and pandemic. My client is currently working on permitting and financing for the project. So we are looking for an additional 1-year extension, which would be the final extension on this project through April 25th, 2024 to allow time to finalize all the process they are in right now. And
Okay.
that's it.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the public regarding case Z 23-009, address is 78 Storms Avenue, only seeking 1-year extension?
I don't see any hands raised.
Okay, thank you, Francisco. We're going to close the public portion of this application. Francisco, any staff comments? I'm assuming none, other than that the conditions remain the same of the approved application.
That's correct.
Mr. Harrington, I'm sure that's exactly how you're going to continue.
Absolutely.
Okay. Does anyone from the board have any questions or comments or otherwise want to make a motion to approve this extension for KC 23-009 for 78 Storms Avenue?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to approve case Z 23-009, 78 Storms Avenue for a 1-year extension with conditions.
Does anyone want to second the motion? Thanks, Jeff.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Silva,
Yes.
Commissioner Park,
Yes.
Commissioner Arujo,
Yes.
Commissioner Allen,
Yes.
Commissioner Green,
Yes.
and Chairman Jacobs.
Yes,
Motion carries, all in favor.
Thank you.
thank you. Good luck.
And I do want to
Okay.
recognize that we
Yeah.
now have 7 commissioners. Commissioner Donnelly has joined.
Great.
Hi.
Hello. Thank
Hello.
you. Okay, so we have one more of these. We're going to proceed with case Z 23-015. This is a 1-year extension for 234th Street.
Promoting Gerard Pizzillo.
Good evening, Chairman. Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Gerard Pizzillo. I'm an attorney with Genova Burns, appearing this evening on behalf of the applicant Grove Street Hub LLC. We are requesting a one-year site plan extension for the approval this board granted under Z20-046 for minor site plan with DNC variances. The board approved this application on May 13th, 2021, memorialized the resolution June 24, 21. The reasons for the extension request, what was similarly stated earlier, my clients this is a historic building located in the Harrison-Muscova Historic District. So as part of our application, we had to retain and improve, clean up the existing facade, obviously pretty specialized. So we had a hard time getting and retaining a general contractor to provide those services based on the numbers and supply chain, cost of things. We were able to secure and get a general contractor in place. My client expects to be pulling permits in the next couple months or so, but we are requesting this one-year approval, or one-year extension that would push out, that protect the approvals until June of 24. Again, we have a historic certificate of appropriateness that was issued by the Historic Preservation Commission. Those conditions will remain in effect, as well as the conditions that this board set forth under the resolution in Z20-046. That's all I have for the board. Happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Thanks, Gerard. Any questions or comments from the public on this application? It's only an extension to 34th Street.
At this time, I don't see any hands raised.
Thanks, Francisco. We're going to close the public portion. And I assume there's no staff comments, right?
No, that's correct.
Okay. Does anyone want to make, anyone from the board have any questions or comments, or otherwise want to make a motion to approve the one-year extension for case Z23-015?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to approve case Z23-015 to 34th Street for a one-year extension with conditions.
I second.
Commissioner Park,
Yes.
Commissioner Silva,
Yes.
Commissioner Arujo,
Yes.
Commissioner Allen,
Yes.
Commissioner Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Donnelly,
Yes.
and Chairman Jacobs.
Yes.
Motion carries, all in favor.
Thank you, Commissioners. Have a nice night.
Thank you too.
Thank you.
So hopefully we'll get through the remaining cases in 20 minutes as well. So we're going to proceed with case Z22-071. The address is 24 Clifton Place.
Promoting Alicia Gonzalez and Samuel Bellamy.
Hi.
Mr. Chairman, while we're promoting everybody, this is a notice case. We have an affidavit, a proof of service, notice of publication. So Diane, we'll mark this as A1 for this application. Thank you. It's all yours, Ms. Gonzalez.
Thank you. So I'm here on behalf of Visas and Associates. We filed an application for the applicant, Scott Norwell, who is also the owner of the property. The subject property was previously used as a vacant lot that was used for parking. There is currently an existing structure on the property that is still undergoing construction. And the purpose of this application is to further develop the structure as a 4-story, 2-unit residential building with a detached accessory garage, which includes a cellar apartment. So we're looking for a minor site plan approval and bulk C variances with respect to the maximum building height, with respect to stories and feet, maximum accessory building height, and a design waiver for the cellar apartment and accessory garage. We are here today with our planner and our architect, and I would like them to provide testimony. So I'd like to introduce our architect, Mr. Nelson Benavides. If Francisco can please join him.
Promoting Nelson.
Hello?
Hi, Nelson.
Hi.
Do you need me to qualify Mr. Benavides?
No, I
Um,
don't believe so. He's been here before.
Okay,
Yes,
thank
I
I
have.
think, I think we just, Mr. Benavides, if you're qualified in the state of New Jersey and your license is current, that's all we're
Everything's still up to
asking.
date. Yes.
Great. Great, we accept your qualifications. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Nelson, can you describe the project for us, please?
Let's just
Yeah,
run
let
in.
me,
Yes, sorry.
Can you raise your right hand, please? I'm on. Do you solemnly swear the testimony about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
yes.
Thank you so much.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen so I can show you the drawings. Okay, 24 Clifton Place is currently approved as a single family, 3-story with cellar and a detached garage, and it's in the Bergen Hill neighborhood. This is the current site plan showing the 3-story with cellar main building with the detached garage in the back. What is unique to this site is that it is a sloping site from Clifton Place down to the towards the east. This is the current plan of the cellar. Essentially, we have it set up as just utility purposes with a distinct entrance from the front. And the proposed cellar plan includes a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, 1.5-bath apartment with direct access also from Clifton Place from the front with legal means of egress from each bedroom and a direct means of egress also from the rear. The upper floors, and this is basically showing the proposed cellar plan. The existing first floor, which is the beginning of the owner triplex, which essentially would just be a living room, kitchen floor with a rear deck. Upstairs, there's 3 bedrooms, 2 baths on the second floor, and then a primary suite on the top floor with a roof deck. These are the proposed elevations. The one on the right-hand side is Clifton Place, where you can see the grade line, where the cellar apartment essentially is just slightly 50% below grade from the street line. But in the rear, it is 100% above grade. And the front facade basically shows just the typical character of the residential neighborhood, which matches the zoning design standards for this district. This is the section, the side elevation showing the high point being Clifton Place and then the sloping site going down towards the east. Basically, from the first window in the apartment meets all of the egress codes required for bedrooms. And this is the section through the house. Showing the upper 3 floors for the primary residence, and then the secondary unit in the cellar, which goes out to a walkout towards the rear of the house. The ceiling heights within the unit are 9 feet, with the lowest point being 8 feet in some of the mechanical and bathroom spaces. These are the drawings for the rear yard accessory structure garage. On the main level is basically the 2-car parking garage. On the lower level is just a recreation space, a hobby shop, and a wine storage room with a half bathroom. Because of the sloping site, which you can see on this drawing, we have to terrace and ramp down to get to the lower level, which is essentially the cellar of the garage. There's no, the proposed use of the cellar of the garage is just an accessory use for the primary owner. It is not an apartment or whatever, in this case, no intention of being an apartment. This shows the rear yard elevation of the accessory structure. So basically on the front facade, the west elevation, the accessory structure garage appears as a one-story building, but because of the sloping site on the rear, it's two-story. These are the current shots of the project under construction as the single family, showing that it's basically within the same height and context of the adjacent properties. The proposed, the elevation will also include like a mansard roof at the top floor on the main facade. This view shows the side view and the driveway access to the garage. And you can see here, it's primarily just a one-story structure viewed from the street. And on this view, you can see how, because of the sloping site, it's 2 stories and with the access to the cellar from the side yard. These were all just excerpts of the drawings that were filed, that were submitted as part of this application. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Nelson.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was muted.
Sure.
Ms. Gonzalez, I was only going to say, for sake of efficiency, we're happy to hear your whole presentation and then hold questions until the end.
Thank you. So we'd like to call in our next expert, Samuel Bellamy, the planner.
Can you raise your right hand, please? Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Sam, I assume that your license is current and you are still licensed in the state of New Jersey.
Yes, my license is current and in good standing.
Right.
So getting right into the variance request tonight, as Ms. Gonzalez said, we are asking for 2 bulk variances related to the maximum height, both in feet and stories. We're also asking for a maximum accessory building height in feet for the detached garage. And there's 2 design waivers, one for the cellar apartment and one for the accessory residential uses in the cellar of the detached garage. This property is located in the 1 and 2 family housing R1F district. The site itself is 6,237 square feet, so a bit larger. And as our architect walked through, there is unique conditions with the topography of the site. There's a substantial slope from the front of the property along Clifton Place to the rear of the property. And really that topography is the reason for these variance and design waiver requests that we're seeking tonight. So with respect to the maximum building height in feet, we're asking for 37 feet, 6 inches of building height, and 4 stories, including that cellar level, where a maximum building height of 3 stories and 35 feet is permitted. So we're asking for an additional story, the cellar, and also for an additional 2 feet, 6 inches of building height. Per the JCLDO, the lowest level is considered a cellar due to half of the story height being below grade as measured from the front of the property. As our architect walked through the floor plans, the entirety of the rear of the building is at grade. So you have a complete walkout exit from the rear of the building. You also have egress windows along the side of the property, both allowing for light and air into the unit, but also providing for safety and meeting building code and fire code with respect to that cellar unit that we're proposing. The additional 2 feet and 6 inches of building height provides for an above grade entrance into the building. That's really characteristic of the streetscape along Clifton Place here. It matches the 2 adjacent buildings with respect to having a raised entrance into the first floor level. and 3 stories above that. And overall, the scale and the height of the building is consistent with the rest of the streetscape. The cellar level itself will have a 10-foot 4-inch floor to floor height, which is consistent with the upper floors and also meets building code. The cellar unit, as I said, does have light and air coming into the unit due to the topography of the site and grade change as you get to the rear of the property. So with that, I do find that the design waiver is reasonable here. It's unique to this property due to the topography, and overall it's a better building design matching the adjacent styles of the adjacent buildings while providing for the second unit, which is permitted in the R1F district. With respect to the maximum accessory detached garage height, again, this is unique. We're asking for 15 feet 4 inches. That's measured from the average grade around the entirety of the garage because it's located in the rear of the property. So you have the case where it's completely at grade in the front, but the cellar level is completely at grade in the rear. So due to that averaging, it's 4 inches above what's permitted here, but at the front, it appears as a 1-story garage and has a height of 10 feet 2 inches, which is consistent and meets the intent of the requirement here. We are proposing some accessory uses to the residential building. Again, this is permitted within the garage. It's unique in that it is in a cellar level. We're utilizing space here due to having that level because of the topography of the site. And again, this does have sufficient access to the rear sliding door, and also has windows along the rear there allowing for light and air into those accessory residential spaces. So overall, with respect to the bulk variances, I do think that the benefits would substantially outweigh the detriments here. We are promoting the purposes of the municipal land use law, guiding sufficient development of the property with a permitted two-unit building consistent with purpose A. We're promoting a desirable visual environment, providing a 2-unit home that's consistent with the rest of the streetscape, both in terms of scale and style. And then moving into the negative criteria, I don't find there to be any substantial detriment to general welfare here. Again, it's consistent with the scale that the area. We're exceeding the setback requirements on the side and to the rear substantially, which does allow for additional light and air. We're also well within the maximum permitted lot coverage at 22%, where 75% is permitted. And 55% building coverage is permitted. So we're well under the coverage limit. So again, this does provide for increased light, air, and open space, and that further mitigates any impacts from the increased building height here. I don't find there to be any substantial impairment to the intent and purpose of the zone plan. Again, we are a permitted use. We're promoting the purpose of the R1F district by providing for a 2-family home that's consistent with the pattern and quality and architectural style of the surrounding area. We are promoting advancing the master plan by providing for a balanced housing supply. Again, overall, I think the benefits substantially outweigh the detriments here. And the project meets both the positive and negative criteria. So with that concludes my direct testimony, but I'd be happy to answer any questions the board might have.
Thank you, Nelson, and thank you, Samuel.
Ms. Gonzalez, is there anything else in your presentation?
I think that the experts covered how the proposed project will enhance the neighborhood and how the benefits substantially outweigh any detriment. So I would like to open the floor to any questions that you may have for us regarding the project.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone from the board have any questions or comments for the experts? Or I guess questions?
Yeah, yes, I just have one question.
Yes.
Excuse me, the question is how long is the driveway from the street to the actual back of the yard?
I can answer that question. It is it's 100 feet from the property line.
Okay. So,
the lot is 125 feet deep.
okay, so a couple of cars can fit in there. The only reason I'm asking, I know Clifton Place is a rough street for parking, that's all.
Yeah, so we've provided for 2 indoor parking spaces, and on the side of the driveway, there's approximately 2 other spots available.
Yes, okay.
But it's
Okay.
not required based on the zoning standard for this.
Yeah, okay, and I was just asking, just, for visitors, they come, it's, again, that's a rough street, but thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else have any questions this time from the board?
I have a few questions. The first one had to do with, and I kind of had a hard time following the plans, but was it correct that besides parking in that back garage building, there's other space, there's other occupiable space?
Yes, in the cellar, there's an accessory space. Essentially, it's a playroom, a wood shop, and a wine room. And it's all for the principal owner.
Okay.
Underneath the parking garage level.
Underneath the parking garage level.
Right.
Okay, and that's accessed through, I guess, the side?
Through,
Okay.
yeah, through the
Okay.
side yard. Yes.
Okay. Asking about, will it be, I guess, will it be insulated? I'm asking because, we always ask questions about whether there's a possibility of somebody actually living there.
It's a heated space, it's insulated. It's a conditioned space, but the intention is not to habitate or to sleep there.
Okay, but if
it's an accessory use to the primary owner.
Okay, but if the property was sold, somebody, it's within the realm of possibility that somebody might try to convert it to a living
Right,
space.
but then they would have to go for their own variances or their own applications.
Yep. Okay. So
this district, the R1F, permits 3 units on the lot, but it's a conditional approval.
Okay.
But we're not asking for that.
Okay. And the other question might be for you, or might be for the planner, or combo of both, but one of the reasons why the code doesn't really permit living on a ground level is because of the risk of flooding, and Jersey City got much more strict with that after Sandy. But by the same token, this property, I think the applicant made a good demonstration that it's an unusual piece of property. It's on the cliff, at least it's on the right side of the cliff. But as somebody who is also a cliff dweller myself, I would like to see if somebody can talk a little bit about the drainage plan for the backyard, and also the drainage and how you prevent flooding from flooding in that lower, the cellar level floor.
Yeah, I can share my drawings again.
Okay.
And I can basically walk you through the intent.
Yep.
Sorry, just if you look at the site plan here, everything that's in the light green essentially is grass or planting area.
Okay.
So you can see a large portion of this site is basically, we're leaving it just natural grass area. So essentially, everything would just be absorbed through the ground, considering it's sloping sites. We also have the driveway with planting areas on both sides. And we're dealing with drainage of the sloping driveway, basically towards the back of the house with a trench drain right at the garage level. We have a terrace that takes you all the way to the back as well. As far as the residential unit in the cellar, we have an areaway in the front underneath the front porch, which essentially pushes the grade further away from the house on the front side. So essentially you're walking out to, a level, 4 inches below where any water coming in underneath would essentially be caught by our drains outside.
Okay.
The house is also constructed in reinforced concrete, in formed concrete as opposed to concrete block, with significant waterproofing on the outside. So we do not foresee any infiltration in general. And we also as well provided exterior French drains and interior French drains as well.
Great. Thank you very much.
And the only thing I would add to that is that you're correct, cellars aren't, habitable space isn't permitted in cellars, but it is permitted in basements. Even though technically we are a cellar here, just due to how it's defined in the ordinance, I think the space functions more as a basement. There is criteria to satisfy providing for habitable space there. I think Nelson just kind of met that criteria. It's more building code standards rather than zoning issues.
Okay. Great. No, that's exactly what I want to hear. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board at this time? Okay, Francisco, any questions from the public?
Yes.
This is for 24 Clifton Place.
So I do see that one hand is raised. I'm promoting Mary Mills.
Okay, does anyone, Ahmed loves to be the timekeeper. Does anyone else want to be the timekeeper? And we give every member of the public 3 minutes to speak. And we'll let you know when you have 1 minute remaining.
I can be the timekeeper.
Okay.
I'm promoting Mary Mills again for some reason. There we go.
Am I swearing her in now or
Hello?
are these just questions?
No, we do a swear. Yeah, I think you need to swear someone in.
Swearing, okay.
Yes.
Ms. Mills, can you raise your hand, please?
Yes.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you.
And Miss Mills, we can't see you, so I also
I'm sorry.
think, no, that's fine. Diane, when we don't see someone, I think also we then ask, like, some crazy question like, are you who you say you
Yes,
are reported to be?
If I could figure this out, I would change it.
It's fine.
But okay. I wish you could see me. Okay. How far down is the cellar exit? How many steps up do you go?
From the front of the house, it is approximately, the back of the house is, it's at grade.
You
It's a walk
exit,
out.
you can walk out a back.
Yes. It's a sloping site. So essentially we're going from the front of the house is approximately half below grade and the site slopes. And by the time we reach the back of the house, we are at grade.
So what is the average height in the cellar with finishing, with finished ceiling and walls, et cetera? I mean, what is the average height?
Our ceiling height is 9'6".
So it's, okay, 9'6" is not 10. And that's with 7 feet for a bathroom or something like that.
Our minimum is 8-foot ceiling heights.
Okay. And you go out you come in the front, are the stairs going down?
When you enter the house, you go down
Mhm.
the stairs underneath the porch to enter the apartment.
Right, I see. Okay, I have some concerns about cellars. I just don't want to see it happening because unlike your situation, we have in fact, in that neighborhood, we have extremely deep and big cellars. I've seen cellars under cellars and it's a rock, you know. And these cellars are great, but I don't want people living in them. And you will get people living in them because landlords will put them in there, renovate, and they won't come to you. They won't submit it. They'll know they'll say, well, everyone else is doing it. Now I know, you know,
1
that can
minute.
be.
Yeah,
We can't
1
make
minute.
a commodity out of light and air. So you pay more, you get light and air. I don't want to see people, children, people in cellars in Jersey City. And this is, if we're making that legal, we're making a huge mistake. Can't be more emphatic about it. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
At this time, I see no other hands that are raised.
Thank you, Francisco. We're going to close the public portion of the application. Does staff have any, comments?
Yeah, I don't want to take up too much time. I just want to be really brief. This is a unique application where it already has approvals from both zoning and as well as buildings for permit construction. Sorry, so staff agrees with Mr. Bellamy about the uniqueness of the lot as well as the slope situation on the lot. Overall, staff does not see any detriments to the zone or the plan ordinance. Staff recommends approval.
Anyone from the board have any questions for staff? If not, does anyone want to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve case Z 22-071, 24 Clifton Place with any conditions.
Second.
Okay. Commissioner Park,
Yes.
Commissioner Silva,
Yes.
Commissioner Arujo,
Yes.
Commissioner Allen,
Nice house, yes.
Commissioner Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Donnelly.
Yes, and while I share Ms. Mills' concerns about people living at cellar levels, I do think that the applicant made a very strong presentation in showing that this is a unique lot with unique conditions. So, yes.
And Chairman Jacobs.
Yes.
Motion carries, all in favor.
Thank you. Good luck with the project.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone, for your time.
Thank you. We're going to proceed with case C 22-057. The address is 81-83 Hutton Street.
Okay.
Promoting Jeffrey Lewis.
Okay, I'll start while Jeffrey is being promoted, if that's okay, or?
Yeah.
And Chuck, we do have your notices, your affidavit, your proof of service, your notice of publication. So Diane will mark this as A1 for this application, okay?
Okay. Thank you. For the record, Charles Harrington of Conifoli on behalf of the applicant. So this application before you tonight is for a use variance and a height variance. Any irregularities with regard to bulk are subsumed under those under the use variance. The property, I'm sure the board members are aware of it. It's the former Elks building that is located at the corner of Hutton Street and Cambridge Avenue. It's in disrepair, and you have a surface parking lot behind it. So what we are, my client is proposing to do is to restore the facades and build behind it and add 2 additional stories. We're proposing to have 3 stories within the existing height of the building. The project would include 14 residential units and 12 parking spaces on site. I note that the lot is an oversized corner lot. It's a little over 6,400 square feet, whereas it is in the R1 zone, and the minimum lot size in the R1 zone is 2,500 square feet. As you'll see during the presentation, it's also, we believe it's a unique property and opportunity because the property is located in very close proximity to Central Avenue and other buildings in similar similar heights and densities. We think it's also an important project because of the historic preservation and restoration that we're going to be doing, and we think it'll be an asset to the community. So that being said, I do have two witnesses tonight. Jeff Lewis is our architect that'll take you through the proposed plans, and Charles Height is the planner that will testify tonight. So I'd like to start with Jeff, and I just want to preface that we were made aware of some concerns from the planning department that they received about different issues, some of which included safety of the garage. So we note that we are proposing to provide an alarm system, as part of the garage, and also provide for planters or similar improvements there to redirect pedestrians. And Jeff will address this during his presentation. And then also at the rear of the property, you'll see on the Cambridge Avenue side, we're proposing to bring the building in 5 feet because there was concern about future access and future maintenance of the rear of the property because it was proposed to be on on the lot line. So I say that because we'd like to mark. We have a plan together to show that, and we'd like to mark that as A2 so that the board could see what that looks like.
Great, thank you. Do you want to proceed with Mr. Lewis?
Yes, yeah, Jeff, if you can, I'm sorry, you can move forward.
Okay, hi, Diane.
Sorry.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
Mr.
for the
Mr.
record,
Lewis, yes. You can
my
go.
license is in good standing and active. Thank you.
Great, we accept your qualifications. Thank you.
And Jeff, before you start, do you want to mark that plan set as A2 as well? And then you can.
Sure, and I'm bringing it up. Okay, so these are the plans that we'll be presenting tonight. We did, as Chuck mentioned, we did revise the floor plans and the elevations to show a 5-foot setback at the rear yard. With that, we're proposing a 5-story, 14-unit building with 8 parking spaces. And just to break down the apartment sizes and types, we have only one bedroom unit that is 554 square feet, 7 2-bedroom units that average 1,078 square feet, 5 3-bedroom units that average 1,295 square feet, and then 1 4-bedroom apartment that is 1,360 square feet. So as has been mentioned, this is an existing historic building. For those who haven't seen it, I'm sure everyone has, but there is a historic photo shown on the right here. This is actually a different building. It's everything from here to the left, located at the corner of Hutton and Cambridge. Obviously, this is not a current site photo. The current site photos are down here at the bottom. I could zoom in on them if you want. Mostly stucco finish over everything that you saw in that previous photo though. Moving on to the existing site plans. The main mass of the building is here. It's a current 2-story masonry building, and we will be keeping and restoring that section of the building. And we'll be demolishing everything in the back, which includes this wood deck, these stairs, and then this 1-story, what is really a shed in the back of the building. Moving on to our proposed site plan. There are an existing curb cut along the street here, which we'll be removing and replacing with a new 10-foot curb cut in front of our garage door. We're proposing all new concrete curbs and new concrete sidewalks. We're also proposing 5 new street trees. Looking at the front of the building, there are existing planting areas on our property alongside Hutton and then around the corner to Cambridge. Currently, there's a chain link fence around this planting area. We're going to take out the chain link fence, and then we're going to replant this with new shrubs. And then besides that, the building itself is the existing 2-story building. We will be adding on top of the building as well as to the back area behind the building, additions ranging from 1 story to 5 total stories. This drawing, I just wanted to show very quickly that we do have a stormwater management system on the site. It's located under the garage slab. If anyone wants to go more into detail with that, I can go back and show you what we're actually doing there. I just wanted to let everyone know that it did exist. Moving on to the floor plans. This is our existing crawl space. It's not being used, it's existing and it's staying just as it is. So I'm going to move on to our proposed first floor plan. I want to start on the left here with our parking garage. It is a garage for 12 parking spaces, and each of these spaces has its own dedicated EV charger. We also have bicycle parking for 8 spaces. And then the garage also provides access directly to the trash and recycling room. And then also has a door out the side here, which goes directly to the street. Chuck mentioned the garage being right at the property line here. We will have, as he mentioned, the alarm system so everyone knows when the garage door is opening. But also we were proposing to add some planter areas on the street frontage here. We would be in the public right of way, but there's a 15-foot wide sidewalk. It's a very wide sidewalk here, so there's more than enough space to do this, and we're willing to do it. Looking to the left here, this is the second stair from the building. This is the minor stair. This comes from the second floor down and exits directly to Cambridge Street. The main building entrance is around the corner at Hutton Street, and it's in the center of the building. It leads to this large lobby, which provides access directly to the garage, as well as to our elevator, our main stair, our meter room, our mail room, our sprinkler room, as this is a fully sprinklered building. And then lastly, apartment 101, which is our 1-bedroom apartment. And this apartment, like all the apartments in the building, are ADA adaptable. It has a washer dryer in the unit and also has a ducted furnace to provide heat and air conditioning for the unit. Again, all the apartments have those amenities. Moving on to the second floor. This floor has 4 apartments. There are both stairs in the elevator with a common hallway connecting everything. There are 2 2-bedroom apartments, which are facing Cambridge Street, and a 3-bedroom apartment, which is facing Hutton Street. And then lastly, there's an apartment in the rear of the building. This apartment is actually, it's a 3-bedroom apartment. However, on this floor, there's a living, dining, kitchen, bathroom, and 1 bedroom. And then there's a stair inside the apartment, which goes up to the 3rd floor. And then just looking at the 3rd floor, you would come up this stair, and that apartment is a duplex with 2 bedrooms and a bathroom upstairs. So that would make it a 3-bedroom apartment in total. The rest of this floor is mostly the same. There are the 2 2-bedroom apartments facing Cambridge Avenue, 3-bedroom apartment facing Hutton Street. And then lastly, there is a 1-bedroom and bathroom with a stair going upstairs to apartment number 4, to the 4th floor, excuse me. This is our last duplex apartment. So that apartment has 1 bedroom on this floor. And then looking at the 4th floor has the living, dining, kitchen, bathroom, and then the 2nd bedroom. So that's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment. And again, on the 4th floor, besides that, we have those same 2 2-bedroom apartments facing Cambridge Avenue and the 3-bedroom apartment facing Hutton Street. Here we're looking at the 5th floor plan, and this plan we are setting the 5th floor back from the front and the side elevation, or from both front elevations. And also actually setting it back in the back of the building. This rear roof area that I'm showing here will be used for our air conditioning condensers. The building itself has 2 apartments on this floor. It's a 3-bedroom apartment facing Cambridge Avenue, and then a 4-bedroom apartment, which is facing Hutton at the corner of the building. These apartments each have their own private roof deck facing Cambridge Avenue. And also we have 2 green roof areas. These are filled with green roof trays. One of them is 295 square feet. The other is 304 square feet in total. And then lastly, for the floor plans, we do have a common roof deck in this building. The roof deck is accessed by both stairs and the elevator. We have an elevator lobby here. The patio itself is 1,500 square feet, and it's buffered from the streets with these raised planters around the 3 sides, and then also with this green roof area, which also totals 1,500 square feet of area on this roof. Moving on to the building elevations. So this is the Hutton Street elevation, and as was mentioned, we have been working with Historic to do what we can here. Step 1 is going to be to strip away that stucco that's been caked on the building and see what it is that we actually have to work with. And then our goal is to restore everything that we can restore. And then whatever we can't restore or what's not there at all, we're going to replicate. And just to talk about the finishes here, the main finish, of course, is a red brick, which would match the historic red brick. We have these cast stone brick piers, which will be either restored or rebuilt. We also have these cast stone bands at this level and here at this level. And then we have the pediment, which is also made out of cast stone. And all of this, again, will be either restored or rebuilt as needed. The existing building on the inside actually is only a 2-story building with 2 very tall stories. And we're converting that into a 3-story building using the same interior space. And just to get an idea of how much space is in there, we have ceiling heights inside this new space of 11 feet, 10 feet, and 10 feet on the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd floor. So there's plenty of space there. This obviously affects the windows. So with the windows, we are going to retain the spacing and pattern, like the horizontal pattern of them. However, they'll be adjusted vertically to provide windows for 3 floors rather than the 2. And then what you can see is we have the bands in between the 2nd and 3rd floor. In between the 1st and 2nd floor, at these windows, we are using a black aluminum panel that would match the windows, which the windows and the doors, all the doors, entry doors and windows will be proposed to match all the historic photos that we have of the property. And again, we would be working with Historic to make sure we get that as right as possible. Looking at the top of the building, we do have this 2-story addition. It's meant to look different from the building and stand out as something completely different, but also be more subtle and kind of fade away a little bit. So in that regard, it's a very simple elevation with fiber cement panels. The color of them is beige to just be very neutral and not stand out from the building itself, which is obviously the focal point. And I'm sorry, but I'm actually showing you the wrong elevation. They look very similar. I apologize for that. You give me 1 second. There we go. I'm sorry, this is actually the Hutton Street elevation. So you can see the main entry in the center and then all of our window bays, which we'll be keeping where they are and just adjusting those windows up and down. Now, this is actually the Cambridge Avenue elevation. And I think what you can see, the existing building, we're doing the same treatments as we were proposing on Hutton. So again, working with Historic to make sure we restore what we can, replicate what we can't. And then we have this rear addition of 3 stories, which we are proposing to match the restored historic elevations, and that's including the brick, those piers that we mentioned, the cast stone bands will continue as well, and we'll use the same window treatments and window patterns that we were using for the existing building. We also have the secondary entrance in the corner here that I mentioned. That entrance is a wood door, which would be painted a dark gray color, and it's accented by a dark gray metal panel next to it on the right here. The garage door is a black groove metal panel garage door and has an arched transom window above it with window treatments, again, to match the existing building. And then that upper level, again, is that beige fiber cement siding to match the finish on the Hutton Street elevation. This is the rear elevation. As was mentioned, we will be now 5 feet off of the property line. The first floor is finished with a stucco finish. The floors above, floors 2 through 5, are finished with the same light beige fiber cement panels. And we're also showing that we're wrapping that cast stone and brick pier around. So we're wrapping that right around the corner here. And then lastly, this is the right side elevation. Most of this is up against this building. The shaded area is the building next to us, which is built directly on the property line. Wherever our building does stick out or wherever it's set back, as it is in this area, we're proposing a stucco finish on the first floor. And then again, those same light beige fiber cement panels on floors 2 through 5. And that would conclude my walkthrough of the elevations and plans. I'm happy to answer any questions anyone might have, either now or if you want to wait until after our planning testimony. I'm happy to do that as well.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, yes, I guess you'll keep questions till the end. In the meantime, then I will move forward with Mr. Height.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, can you raise your right hand, please? Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Height, we accept your qualifications, presume that your license is current and in good standing.
It is current. Good evening, board members. For the benefit of the public, I am a licensed professional planner in the state of New Jersey and also a member of the Institute of Certified Planning. That's a national certification. I do present often before this board as we do a lot of work throughout the city. We also do work throughout the state, but we have a very good focus here in the city. So in effort of carrying off with Mr. Lewis's testimony, I did want to just start off with a few of his elements of his cover sheet. I want to share the screen just to give the board a little bit of sense of the neighborhood. That does weigh into what the overall vision is of this project and how it factors into the criteria. We are dealing with an existing structure. We've had input from the Historic Preservation Office in the city as well. And we've incorporated many of their design aspects into the overall scheme, specifically with the restoration of the existing structure. Currently today, well, most recently was used as an Elks Lodge. Previously to that, it was associated with an Aryan Hall. This is from the determination of significance that was a place for German immigrants. So it does have historical standings. Over the years, it was used for other purposes. So it is, in fact, an important cultural aspect to the community. So first and foremost, that's one of the driving pillars of this application with the historic preservation and restoration of the structure. On the cover sheet of Mr. Lewis's plans prepared by Hampton Hill, I did just want to go into some of the photographs just for the benefit of the board. This is the aerial provided. First and foremost, we are a corner lot at the intersection of Hutton Street and Cambridge Avenue. What was referenced earlier is the proximity to Central Avenue. Many of the board members know Central Avenue is a mixed-use corridor through the heights of Jersey City. This is a very healthy mixed-use section of Central Avenue. There's the Police Benevolence Office right here that I'm highlighting here, as well as many different other businesses and restaurants and neighborhood services and retail locations along Central Avenue. So it is in a very nice location in terms of access to a mix of uses. There are schools and other resources in and around the neighborhood. One thing I did want to just point out in terms of the immediate development, we're discussing today the 8183 Hutton, which really comprised of this parcel with the white flat roof and the surface parking lot. Mr. Lewis referenced the adjacent structure, which is still existing and to remain. This structure is adjacent, and it does run the length of the property, so it is almost a full lot depth in terms of its existing condition. And then as we move south, you can see here this smaller building is associated with a surface parking lot, so there is no immediate building or residential home right against the southern property line. So in terms of context with adjacent uses, the proposed building form does take that into consideration in terms of the design. I do want to flip to the second sheet just with the photos. I know Mr. Lewis referenced them, but I did just want to show you from a street view standpoint this condition. So again, here we have the main building on the subject property. This is that adjacent structure that was at one point in time in history operated together, but now we're proposing the development on this lot. You can see further down there are taller structures. This is a mixed-use building further down, as well as on the other photo. This is of the side street along Cambridge. You can see the surface parking lot, but you can see here on the left, there's a surface parking area on the adjacent property to the south. So that's just for context in terms of the immediate adjacent neighborhood. I'll stop the share if I can. So
Charles, just to back up, should we be marking that as A3, what you just testified to?
This was the site plans. These were elements of the cover of the first sheet and the second sheet of Mr. Lou of Hampton Hill plans. So
okay, thank you.
They've already been in the packet.
Thank you.
To get into the justifications, we are proposing a use variance, a multifamily use in the R1 district. Part of the standard for what's referred to as a D1 use variance is particular suitability. What that means is there are particular aspects of the property that lend itself to the proposed use, and are there special reasons to advance planning in this specific application. So in that particular suitability test, what we look for is characteristics of the physical property. So just to run through a few of them. One, as I mentioned earlier, we are a corner lot on Hutton and Cambridge. We're actually in a very beneficial location on the corner because we're south and west of the roadways. So much of the afternoon impact in terms of the massing falls into the intersection that's just north and east of the subject property. So it's actually in a very appropriate location for added mass in terms of the proposed building. Secondly, it's an oversized lot. This board's heard me testify to the nature of oversized lots. The standards in Jersey City are intended to be scaled when you're dealing with multifamily, so the larger size lot can accommodate more density. In this instance, we have a lot that's, let me get the exact measurement because I know it's approximate size 6,461 square feet. So clearly greater than the minimum standard, which is in the R1, which is 2,500 square feet. It's actually 2.5 times greater. So substantially larger, and a good threshold for me as a planner when reviewing the code. It's greater than the minimum size that the zoning ordinance allows for multifamily, albeit in other zones, but it's greater than that 6,000 square foot threshold. So I think that to me is a very clear demonstration that we have an oversized lot, but a suitable lot for the proposed multifamily house. We also did a density study when we reviewed this application. So the proposed units on the site, when you do the math, it comes out to approximately 94 units per acre. This board's heard me testify to this analysis. We do look at other multifamily units in the neighborhood. We did identify several others. They do range from anywhere from 3 to 12 units. But when you're comparing apples to apples, those properties are of different sizes. We use that density standard, and the dwelling units actually range from 55 units an acre all the way up to the most dense being 139 units per acre. So again, that's the local range of multifamilies, where within that range, and 94 units per acre is on the less dense side of a lot of the application that this board has heard in the past. Usually 100 to 120 is on the high end of these types of use variances, and here we are certainly below that at 94 units per acre. With respect to the overall building size, the building height, we do exceed the permitted standards in the R1 zone at 3 stories, 40 feet for a flat roof. But in this nature, I would submit that the proposed building heights are subsumed within the D1 use variance. Those requirements are intended to regulate 1 and 2 family homes. Here we have a multifamily home. We are proposing a total of 5 stories. Mr. Lewis did go through some of the setbacks that have been incorporated into the design. In the rear, we have above the ground floor a 3-foot setback from both adjacent properties. And also at the upper elevation, the 5th story is set back substantially to provide for additional relief on adjacent properties. We do have setbacks in the front as well. I did want to pull up the elevation. Give me 1 second. And part of the design in coordinating with historic preservation is to, 1, restore and preserve the existing structure. But with respect to the upper stories, what we typically do is differentiate the new and the old and try and reduce the visual impact or visual attention, if you will, of the upper stories. And that, to me, in a planning perspective, helps to bring the focus to the historic structure at the 1st and 2nd stories, and also helps mitigate the visual impact of the upper floors. So this is, I'm getting to it now, the elevations. 1 moment, sorry for scrolling. So yeah, that was it. Okay, so you can see here how the design and paneling and overall theme of the upper stories is more muted. There's not a lot of attention and detail and design features, and that's intended on purpose. The detail and attention was given to the preservation and rehabilitation of the brickwork and all of the details on the 1st and 2nd floor of the existing structure. This was exactly a very similar scheme that we applied when we worked on the firehouse preservation and adaptive reuse project on Palisade. That was many years ago, but it stood as a very good example of how adaptive reuse added stories can be accomplished while still preserving and keeping the historic aspects front and center. So if any of you know that project, I worked on it many years ago. I do admire it, seeing it there and understanding how it's been constructed and really come to be a good amenity and asset in terms of the historic preservation that we were able to accomplish with that building. We believe that this effort with this project will do the same. in this scenario. So again, with the front step backs, the muted architectural design, that to me helps mitigate the overall impact of the added stories. We are also referencing bulk standards in the R1. The planning office did want us to identify those. So for clarity's sake, we are requesting bulk relief for a variety of different bulk standards. Again, all of these bulk standards are intended to regulate 1 and 2 family homes, not multifamily developments. So with respect to building coverage and lot coverage, we are proposing a building coverage of 91.5%, where 60% would be permitted. Again, this is a corner lot. We don't have adjacent uses that we have to provide extreme relief from. There's no adjacent rear yards, passive rear yards that we're trying to mitigate impacts to. So we're utilizing the full extent of the site. The base of the building, which does have that full coverage, does also enclose the proposed parking, and that's always a desirable aspect to screen the parking from view along the street. The upper floors, as I mentioned before, are set back and they're smaller in their footprint. With respect to the lot coverage, 93% is proposed, 85% is permitted, so we're a little bit closer in terms of the intent. We do have green roofs, roof decks, also added landscaping with this project in the front. So we have made an effort to improve the overall landscaping and aesthetic environment when it comes to greenery and landscaping. I should also mention we are proposing the 5 street trees, where currently there are a lack of street trees along these street frontages. We do have yard setback variances that we wanted to call out, or were asked to call out. This is a corner lot, so when at the time of application, we were dealing with the prior zoning, where we had the front and the rear aspect to the front and rear yard setbacks. So with respect to the rear yard setback, a minimum of 35 feet combined and 20 feet is required. We are, as I mentioned earlier, and Mr. Lewis mentioned, we're coming to within 4.1 feet on that southerly property line. That would be the rear yard, and zero feet at its minimum condition on the immediate side. With respect to, I'm just trying to go through the notes here of other variances. The last one we wanted to reference was the minimum number of parking spaces. Again, the ratio or the requirement is one unit per space. Parking isn't required by today's standards. This application is proposing 12 off-street spaces. So that to us is less than the 1-to-1 ratio, but in overall design and trying to mitigate impacts with respect to parking, we felt it was appropriate, given that the site does currently have off-street parking, to enclose it, maintain that curb cut, reduce it, and provide the off-street parking. So there's less of an impact with any on-street parking that's existing in the community. That, I think, is the extent of the bulk variances that we're requesting. Again, all of the variances in terms of the bulk are subsumed in the D1 use variance request that we're proposing. I do think in terms of the positive criteria, this application does meet the particular suitability standards. I also think it fosters specific purposes of the land use law that we're advancing. I'll run through those in a moment. One, to provide for a variety of land uses throughout the state. So in this neighborhood, there are other multifamily uses. Providing a similar context of multifamily uses that are consistent in terms of density would help establish an appropriate population density. That is purpose E. We are also, in terms of the adaptive reuse with the aesthetics, furthering purpose I, which is to promote a desirable visual environment. So we are, in my opinion, making substantial improvements to historic preservation of the existing structure, as well as mitigating the impacts of the upper stories and improving the streetscape along the frontages. With respect to the historic preservation aspect, that furthers purpose J, which is not one that we get to often reference, but through the proposed adaptive reuse of the existing building with historic features, the project will promote the conservation of historic sites and districts, open space, energy resources, and valuable natural resources in the state, and to prevent urban sprawl and degradation of the environment through improper land use. So that's a mouthful, and it does reference other aspects, but in this situation, we're applying that purpose because we have an opportunity to realize affordable units, a mix of units in an appropriate location on a very underutilized site in Jersey City. So from a planning standpoint, future household will be able to live here in an appropriate location rather than having to leave the city and put pressure on development elsewhere. And I'm almost done, and I'm trying to be thorough for the benefit of the board in our review of the project. In terms of the negative criteria, I don't believe there's any substantial detriment to the zone plan or zoning ordinance. Recognizing that we are in the R1, we are proposing a residential use. We're consistent with other multifamilies in the area, and Central Avenue is a very nice mixed-use corridor that will provide for a very healthy lifestyle for all the future tenants of this location. With respect to impacts to detrimental impacts to the general welfare, again, we were careful to present the adjacent land uses, which by way of this proposed application have very little detrimental impact. It's a surface parking lot and an existing building that runs the full depth of the property. Those are the adjacent uses. So the design does provide relief from the adjacent parcels and from the frontages, which a lot of people from the community will be able to walk and have views of the building. We've obviously designed and incorporated the historic preservation of the existing structure, as well as the various step backs at the upper floors. I think that's my full testimony. We're excited about this project. We had a lot of revisions in terms of the historic preservation aspect, and I'd be happy to answer any comments that or questions that you might have with respect to plan.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, that completes our presentation. So, you know, if the board has any questions for Mr. Lewis or Mr. Height, I guess now would be, you know, the time, since we've completed our witnesses.
Does anyone from the board have any questions for the applicant's experts at this time?
I just have a question for Mr. Lewis. Do you have a colorful rendition of the facade that's going to go to the back of that building? I'd like to know the brick. How is it going to look?
Oh, I'm sorry. You want to see a color rendering for the building?
Yeah, the facade in the back.
Yeah, we do.
The addition that you're going to
actually. We do have.
Yeah, if you have that, Mr. Lewis, I forgot about that.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we can see that.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. Okay, I can't for some reason, but you can. That's great.
You got it.
And we do, I think, have one more if you'd like to see it.
Yes, please.
Sonia, you wanted to see like the back where the parking lot is today, right?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, so that I don't have, and that's actually That's the section that we just changed. Originally, that was right on the property line. We did bring that back 5 feet.
Okay.
It's just, I mean, going to the, let me stop this. Let me just show you the elevation of it briefly. So this is that elevation. This is facing that driveway. So we're wrapping the brick pier around here. So that'll wrap around from the front. So that'll tie that together. Down here, the ground floor is just a stucco finish just because it's the driveway there. And everything above that floor is going to have that same beige fiber cement siding finish that the rest of the upper floors have. And then we do have some windows in the back apartment here.
Okay. I'm surprised. You usually put a lot of color in your designs. Top doesn't seem to have any coloring at all. You know, it's just a contrast from the rest of the building. Do you know what I'm saying?
I think,
Mr. Lewis?
Jeff, if I remember correctly, I think that was a result of some comments we received during the process to make it a little more muted.
I see. Okay.
Anyone else from the board have any questions at this time?
So I have a question, and I just want to make sure that I was following everything correctly. But I think on like the second and third floor where there's kind of a duplex in the back, it looks like there are at least 2 bedrooms with no windows.
No, that's
Okay.
not correct. Let me show you.
Okay.
We actually did provide, so at the first floor, we're right up against that building next to us, but on the second, third, fourth, and fifth floor, we actually do have a setback, so we can have windows there.
Okay.
And I'll show you,
Okay.
let me just show it to you just so we're totally on the same page. So see the first floor, there's no setback there. We're right to it. But then when we go down to the next floor, so this is the second floor. You see we have this setback now, and there's that little, so we're set back a little more than 3 feet so that we could do windows.
Okay.
And there's a window right here. And then the
Okay.
same up above. We have windows and the windows, and then
Okay.
these windows are here.
So
definitely we have
it's a
windows in all of the
window
bedrooms.
into like a little alleyway, but it's still a window. Okay. Okay. Yep. I see that now. Okay, thank you.
Okay, and at the very least, at least the living room part of it is facing the side that will get more light.
Mhm.
And it's really the bedrooms that are in the alley, which isn't the worst thing to have as a dark bedroom.
Okay.
But at least we do still have the emergency rescue, which is definitely important for those rooms.
Yeah. And I have one more question, and I think it's probably more for Mr. Height.
Cool.
So on kind of walking down Cambridge Street, our property, your property abuts what is now just used as a parking lot. Do we know how that is zoned, and if there's an expectation for any, is that zoned R1 and 2 and used as a parking lot?
It is, let me just check the lot. It is in the R1 zone. So Central Ave, it's in its separate zone, but that property is also in the R1. Based on a look at the 2 properties, they probably are under common ownership. They have 25-foot wide lots, so I assume the parking is on one parcel, and then it serves the adjacent structure, which is 1 lot to the south.
Okay.
But they're by the tax map, they're 2 separate 25-foot wide parcels.
Okay. Now, I mean, because of course, as everything's planned to be built now, if that adjacent lot continues to be used as parking, the extent of coverage, it's not as big of a deal. But I'm trying to think about this in terms of, what could happen in the next 10 years. So
we've designed the building to not prevent any development of that site, whether it be a 1 or 2 family house. I understand future development considerations. In terms of this application, what our burden is to establish the impacts on the existing neighborhood. So there's no, in my opinion, there's no impairment of the zone plan, because that property can still be developed. And at that point in time in the future, they would have known that there's an existing structure. So it actually, given that we have the ground floor running along that it does create for a little bit more privacy at that ground level. So that's what I can offer to the board. But
Well,
Okay.
it's unfortunate that I mean, it's not part of this project. I mean, I think that would have been, I mean, obviously you can't control that, but that would have been like, obviously the best you could have had, converted to have a better use of, open parking to, closed parking with something above it. Yeah.
yeah, I hear you, Mr. Chairman. We're trying to be, we try to be sensitive with consolidations of properties in terms of acquiring more land to inevitably what would probably have happened was just a bigger building. So here, just working with the existing properties that are existing today.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions? I'm trying to also think about preempt what questions may come from the public. If Mr. Harrington, you think there's anything that your team didn't address that you presume will be addressed that you can answer in advance, but otherwise happy to just kind of go into and hear what people may say about parking or density.
Well, I think some of the comments that we received from the public through, we had a presentation one night and my client met with a representative another time, was I think there were comments about the number of units. And then there was a comment about setting back the fourth floor further, which I think during the testimony you saw how, we differentiated with the material at the fourth floor, and then the fifth floor is further set back. So that's how, we believe that's been addressed, and that was with working with the, historic preservation office. And then as you see during, this is a unique project where, it is providing for some substantially, some very good sized units, which you don't often see, especially at this board. So I think it gives an opportunity for, the different family unit, living within this building. So those, I think, were some of the comments we received. And we had addressed a lot of other ones that are part of this presentation.
And is the reason that we have practically one-to-one parking, even though we're a half block from Central Avenue, because the community said you need to have parking?
That I guess depends. We get, it's a 50-50. Some people want the parking, some people don't. So I think the thought was, it's up in the Heights. It is, there was a parking lot there. So we, deemed to try to provide some parking. And then we thought the EV use was something innovative here, as well, that every parking spot is an EV spot. Something different.
Okay. Francisco, does anyone from the public have any questions or comments on this application?
Yes, I do see several hands raised. I do want to address the public, and for those who want to comment, please raise your hand at this moment so I can see. Thank you. I'm promoting. First hand is raised, HHA.
I wish we did this application last, because I think everything else will be really quick. So
Yeah.
my mistake.
I'm going to promote them one more time. For some reason, it rejected. So I'm going to move on to the next hand. It seems that the public is rejecting it. Promoting Lauren next. Okay. Lauren is also declining. What is happening? Okay, promoting. Oh, there we go.
And I'll be the timekeeper. 3 minutes per speaker, encouraging the public to also reference other public comments.
Hello?
Hi, Mr. Hazlet, can you raise
Yes.
your hand, please? Do you solemnly
Yes.
swear the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, please?
I do.
And can you just give me your address?
22 Cambridge Avenue.
Thank you.
Okay, can I share my screen? I have taken some pictures myself. I want to share with the board. Would that be possible?
You should have access. Let me know if it allows you.
Share screen. Okay. All right, so these are the pictures I have taken. This is the front of the building. And as you can see, this is a view from the building from my house going up. To add 2 more stories is going to be not a nice look in the neighborhood. Also, the parking, they said they were going to have 14 units with multiple bedrooms, and normally people have more than one car. This parking's very tough on the block as is. This is a picture of the lot, how it looks. The mounds of dirt has been removed. The building on the left over there, that's a garage, is supposedly going to tear down. Even if they build an enclosed garage, I don't see 12 parking spots there. I mean, so I'm very concerned about the parking. Parking is very tough. The height of the building, the sewers over here on the corners, they constantly flood. I was a member of this lodge, very familiar with the property. In the basement, we have a dirt floor, and it's been known to flood. I mean, I was told when I was there, there's actually an underground stream that runs underneath it. I don't know how true that is. So I'm very concerned about the parking, about the structure, how it's going to look. And I know the Masons next door, they had interest in the property. This property is basically more for commercial use, such as a lodge, a charter school, a place of worship, even a school.
1 minute.
Okay, well, that's all I have to say. I'm just hoping my neighbors join in my sentiment. And I hope the board can sympathize with our parking difficulties that we have in the neighborhood. That's all I got. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Promoting David.
Okay.
Yes. Do you guys see me?
No,
Oh.
we don't see you.
I'm on camera.
Now you muted yourself.
Come on, camera.
If you're using Zoom on your computer, the camera is right next to the mute button, if that helps by any chance.
I'm using a tablet this time. I'm not using my phone. Yeah. Come on. I think everybody knows who I am, right?
No, you got us guessing.
Oh, is that? Oh, I know exactly who it is.
Okay. I can't get the picture to work right now.
Well, why don't we move along without the video and you can just tell us what you want and you swear them in and we swear,
Okay.
you swear that you are who you say you are?
Very
Yeah, and
good.
I don't have your last name. If I could just get
My
your
last name is Cruz, C-R-U-Z.
Okay, can you raise your right hand, please?
Oh, David.
Yes, my right hand is.
Yes.
Do you solemnly
All
swear?
right, I know you are.
Do you solemnly swear that the statement you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do,
Thank
100%.
you. Thank you so much.
Okay. My name is David Cruz. I want to say hello to the chairman and to all the commissioners. Thank you for helping. It's your job. It's very hard to come out and to listen to all these projects and everything. I'm also the Block Association president on Hutton Street. So that whole block, down the block, up the block, that's all my block associations. I have talked to the neighbors on the block and they love the projects completely. I also live on the block. I live at 280 Central Avenue. My block is that block. I don't have to cross the street. I walk around the corner. That is my block. I park there all the time. And let's say, also, I'm part of the Central Avenue SID. And I have no problem with this project. I love this project. I think it's great. The Elks, was a beautiful place, but there was a lot of alcohol coming out of there, a lot of people vomiting, a lot of drugs coming out of there. For a fact, I know because I live on the block. I'm over there. I see what happens. And I'm happy it's going to be a residential building. I'm happy. I saw the projects. I went through the project, see each of the apartments, see each of the how it's going to get built. I think this is an excellent project for Hutton Street. As the president of Block Association, I love it. I love this project. And for Central Avenue SID, being in the chairman for the events, I love this. As a resident, and I also have my business on Central Avenue that's across the street on Central Avenue. And I love it because now we're bringing residents from other parts of Jersey City to move in there. And whoever wants to move in from out of Jersey City to come in here, we welcome them. So I think this is great. I think it's enough parking right there to
30 seconds, David.
Everything's beautiful. I love this project. So I love you guys. I love everything. And I wish you could have saw me, but we love you. All
We
right.
know who you are. We know who you are.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Promoting Mike. Oh.
Hello? You guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Can you get
We
your camera
can
on?
hear you,
Yeah,
but not see you.
Give me 1 second.
And
Sorry.
just one thing, shouldn't we also just be getting the addresses?
Yes,
Oh.
I
Yes.
forgot the
Okay.
last one. I forgot with Ms. Mills.
So yeah, Mr. Cruz was 280 Central and Mr. Hazlitt testified that he was right across the street.
He gave his address.
Okay.
He was 22 Cambridge.
Okay.
Okay,
Great.
Mr. Ferrucci, can you raise your right hand,
Ferrucci,
please?
yes. Yep.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
And if you can just give me your address, please?
50 Laidlaw.
Thank you.
Thank you. So yeah, I'll be pretty quick. I just wanted to kind of share the same sentiments as David. Actually, I live in the area. Obviously, I live in 50 Laidlaw, a couple blocks from Pershing. Walk the area a lot with my daughter, and go to Vibes Cafe, which I think is right across the street from where this project would be. And I definitely support this project. I think, like I said with David, I think it'd bring a lot of good people into the area. It'd be really good for businesses. I think it's a pretty great project. So. That's really it. I'm a big fan of it. I'm good. I'm excited to see the area of the Heights continue to develop. I've invested here in my condo about 4 years ago, so just really like to see the Heights continue to build.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Promoting Grant S.
Hello?
Hi, can I have your last name, please?
Skinner, Skinner.
Thank you. Can you raise your right hand, please? Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
Yes,
And your address, please?
281 Central Avenue,
Thank
5A.
you. Thank you.
So I just wanted to speak to the project. I live right at the end of the block on Central Avenue. And I just think it's a really nice design. I like how the rendering looks. I think it's a nice, they really incorporated the historical aspect of the building. I also like that they incorporated the parking. And I think it's a good mix of, the number of units, 2, 3, 4 bedrooms. I think it's good to attract a lot of families. And I just think it'd be a really nice enhancement to the area. So I just want to give my support to the project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Promoting Deborah McWilliams.
There you go.
Hi, is your camera working?
Yeah, I'm okay. I think I got it. Nope. Okay, got it now. Sorry.
Awesome.
Alrighty, can you raise your right hand, please? Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
I affirm.
Affirm, that's fine. And your address, please?
787 Summit Avenue, Unit 1.
Thank you.
Okay. I just want to be brief. I do want to commend the developers for keeping the historical aspect of the building. But what concerns me is I'm a 17-year resident of the, actually a 23-year resident of the Heights. And what concerns me is the height of the building. It seems every developer comes in and wants to build 5 floors. And then they want to use multi-family buildings that have been here over 100 years, which were built before zoning went into effect, to justify building 5 floors. They presented through our neighborhood association, the Pershing Field Neighborhood Association, and a lot of us weren't against the project, but the additional 2 floors from some of the pictures or one of the things he showed, it seemed like that building was taller than a multifamily building that they showed that was down the block. Then I believe there was testimony that the average number of apartments in these multifamily buildings are 3 to 12 units, yet this unit has 14. So the problem is, it seems like every corner lot is trying to be overdeveloped. The Height only has so much infrastructure. A lot of it is old. And when you have these larger apartments and we start to bring in more people, you bring in more traffic, and then you put pressure also on the schools because these families, a lot of them have children. So I'm not against the building because I think the first 3 floors are really nice. And I have been in that area, so I know the building needs rehab. But I'm just really objecting to the 2 other floors, especially because they stand out. They don't even match the first 3 floors in their design. So I asked the commission to take to take into effect the look and those other factors as well, because we can't have every new development being 5 floors, 5 floors, 5 floors. It's just going to overdevelop the Heights. And I know a lot of residents are against that. But the first 3 floors of the building looks nice. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Promoting Rachel Silver.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, can you raise your right hand, please?
Mhm.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
Yes.
And can I just have your address, please?
Sure. It's 88 Waverly Street.
Thank you.
I just wanted to log on and quickly say that I support this project. I think it's going to be a great improvement to the neighborhood. I've lived in the Heights for about 5 years. I have a kid who goes to school here. And I just think it's gonna make improvements to that corner and bring more families into the area to support the businesses and just the community in general. So that's it. Just wanted to say a short something in favor.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Promoting Megan. And I just want to bring to the board's attention, there's currently 10 hands that are raised. Megan, if you can.
I'm
unmute yourself.
unmuting myself. Okay. Great. So I've been a Heights resident since.
I have to swear you in and I have to get
Oh.
your last name and address.
All
Can I
right.
get your last name first?
Gulick, Gulick.
And do you solemnly swear the testimony about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
And address, please.
Currently 40 Poplar.
Thank you.
But I was a resident of 62 Hutton from 2012 to 2020. I can say that this building was a total derelict eyesore where, as David Cruz said, it was a place where people would drink a lot of barefoot wine and barf outside. It was where my kids learned on that block to say, watch the poop, because we would have to like stay away from the dog poop over there. I echo Mike and Grant's sentiments that I think that this is going to be something that is really going to be helpful for that block. I think it's needed. I would love to see more trees over there. And yeah, I push back on the one woman's testimony regarding the density of the buildings because she currently lives in a building that is 16 units. So I wonder how 14 is really going to impact her life. And that building doesn't have parking, and that's all I'm going to say. Oh, except for this, these particular developers have been responsible for improving other derelict buildings in the area and therefore helping this neighborhood and the way of life without pushing people out of the area. They've been vacant buildings that have needed life breathed into them, and I'm totally for that.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Promoting Jody Sheehan.
Hello?
Yes, do you have a camera working?
Oh, yep, sorry.
That's okay.
Hi.
Hi. Can you raise your hand, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
So help you God. And can I have your address, please?
Sure, it's 148 First Street,
Thank you.
apartment 411.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to come on and support this project. I currently live downtown and I spend a lot of time in the Heights, which is where I plan to move. But as I continue to look, I'm finding there's a lack of inventory. And when I saw this building, it's not only gorgeous, but what this building offers is exactly what I'm looking for. So I just wanted to hop on and share my support.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Promoting Lauren. Oh. Actually, I promoted Stephanie.
Hi, is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Hi.
Hi. Can you raise your hand,
Um,
please?
yeah.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And your address, please?
410 New York Avenue, first floor.
Thank you.
I wanted to come on and speak in favor of this project. There's a couple things that I really like about it. First, I really appreciate how they are maintaining the historical facade. I think in all the development that's going up in this area around the Heights, it's going to be really neat to have something that is maintained historically. I also really appreciate how that addition on top has been thoughtfully made to be lighter. I think that when you're walking on the street, it's going to be really nice and not so obvious as I think a lot of developments have become. So I really appreciate that. And I think it'll be a really nice thing to walk by on the street. I also did want to just comment about the idea of families and schooling. It actually really excites me to have a really nice building like this to bring in more families. Something with the public schools where I have a child going into a public school is that there aren't a lot of families around here to attend the public schools and really improve the schooling around here, which needs to be done. And I think a development like this is going to bring in families, like we said, who are going to have those children going to the public schools. And it's just going to really all around improve that aspect of life around here. So I'm all for this project.
Thank you.
Promoting Lauren. And it seems like there's about 12 more hands raised, so a few more hands have raised since the last time.
Definitely last.
All right, so I'm not going to waste the board's time if it's okay, trying to get my camera to work.
I just need to, I need to get your last name.
Breines, B-R-E-I-N-E-S.
And can you raise your right hand? Can I?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, your address, please. You're right.
Sorry, do you hear a dog barking in the background? My apologies if you do. So it's address 281 Central, 2B, and raising my right hand.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and that you also can affirm that you are who you say you are, since you do not have your camera on?
Yes, I swear and I do.
Thank you.
So I just very quickly, a lot of people have already spoken. So I echo everyone that is for and a proponent of this project. I really do think that breathing new life into this building, living in the neighborhood is extremely positive. The fact that they're trying to restore the existing structure is beautiful and amazing. So I will just leave it at that. I'm all for it.
Thank you.
Promoting Arpita Mendez.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes. Can you raise your right hand, please? Do you solemnly swear the testimony about to give in this matter be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And can I have your address, please?
Sure. 49 Western Avenue.
Thank you.
Okay, so I've been a resident in the Heights for about 35 years. I really do think that this project is going to be great, the Heights as a community and for our neighbors. I have a 2-year-old and I really want more families, like other people have said, to come into this area. I do appreciate the fact that they're taking such an historic building, it and using it for residential use. I think that's really beautiful, and it really does excite me to see what the Heights can get to. It's been great to see development over the years, and I don't want that to stop. So I'm definitely for this project. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Promoting Robert Baker. And there are 9 hands that are left. Making progress.
Hello, commissioners. Can you see me?
Yes.
No,
No,
Oh,
Oh, hold on. I'm sorry.
that's okay.
Here's my video. Hello,
okay.
Hi.
Diane, you need to swear me in?
Yes, can you raise your right hand, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Let me
I
know.
do.
And can I have your address, please?
12 Cambridge Avenue.
Thank you.
I just want to say very quickly that I think the developers did a very poor job on letting us on the Cambridge Avenue side know what's going on. As I know Dan Hazlitt, who lives down the street from me, has been about the only other Cambridge Avenue bit. So everything that I got on this project was secondhand. I never received anything official, didn't know. And for those who don't know, I'm Deacon Robert Baker from St. Nicholas Church. I'm a very popular person in the neighborhood, an activist. I'm the president of the Pershing Field Pony League. And I was totally against 5 stories going up, but I must say, Charles, that after your presentation and finally seeing the actual plans and what it looks like and bringing the ratables to my neighborhood, I'm for it. But I just wish you guys did a much better job on informing the people in the neighborhood about the project. And commissioners, I just want to say very quickly, thank you for all you do on developing and helping what's going on in Jersey City, and God bless.
thank you.
Promoting Hope Donovan.
Hello,
Hi. Can you raise your right hand, please?
can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I'm sorry, raising my right hand, Hope Donovan.
Yes. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And your
And
address, please?
73 South Street,
I'm sorry?
73 South.
Thank you.
And I won't take up much time. I just want to echo the sentiments of so many more eloquent people ahead of me. I love that they're renovating a dilapidated building. I love the idea of new families. I have multiple young children in the area. So really excited to see some younger new families moving into the area. And I think it'll be great for the neighborhood. And that's it. Just want to go on
Thank you.
record. Thank you.
Promoting Anthony DeMarchi.
You, I'm sorry. I'm Lorenzo DeMarchi speaking for Anthony DeMarchi.
Okay. Can you raise your right hand, please? Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes,
And address, please?
278 Central Avenue.
Thank you.
We obviously, we were originally concerned about having the construction up to the property line, and now from what we were to understand is that it's going to be pushed 5 feet away from the property line for the 33 Cambridge Avenue, correct? That was the original plan. That was the only thing we were concerned, because we do use 33 Cambridge Avenue parking lot is also used as a commercial parking lot for the restaurant, as well as we do have trucks loading and unloading there. We were concerned about building right up to that line, not just for if there needed to be construction and it would impede on our driveway, but just also because that is an infrastructure use for our business. And across 274, 276, 278 Central, as well as 33 Cambridge, with Renato's Dining. As long as it's moved back, he didn't have any concerns. He wanted to make sure that in the beginning, that's what they said, that they were actually, these plans are going to be accounting for moving 5 feet away from the property line.
Okay.
I think it would be helpful if like Chuck could confirm that now,
Yeah.
because I think that's the case, right?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I can confirm that. That is the case. It'll be set back 5 feet.
Okay, that was just, he wanted to confirm that. Absolutely, because that's what he was originally upset about, and then he had to leave 10 minutes ago, and so I had to stay in and speak for him. But that was what he wanted to confirm, was as long as that, then we have no issues with that property there. We're excited to not have bums fighting outside on the corner.
Thank you. I guess, Mr. DeMarchi, if I could ask you a question.
Yes.
How does, I mean, Renato's doesn't extend that level of depth, right? I mean, you don't go all the
No,
way.
we
to
don't,
Cambridge.
we wouldn't be parallel with that business, but because we do have commercial trucks, we have multi-axle trucks going in and out. We have with the parties and stuff like that, especially seeing and he was worried seeing the drawings, how they wanted to have a secondary entrance right against the corner of that building. You don't want a secondary means of egress right next to a working parking lot. And so that was another concern, was that there's people will park all the way up. Sometimes they're not even our customers. People will park in the parking lot into the sidewalk. You don't want to have someone right next to they're coming out of a door 2 feet from an active driveway, a commercial driveway.
Yeah,
And
and you can enter Renato's from Cambridge. Like
Correct, yes.
that's where the parking lot is in the back.
Yeah,
and
no, he
and
wasn't
it
worried
does
about the
extend
building
back
touching
there.
it, but it is
Yeah.
back there, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Promoting Mary Mills. I also do see that Deborah McWilliams' hand is raised. However, each attendee is only given one opportunity to speak, unfortunately.
Hello?
We can hear you.
Are you able to
Okay,
get your
thank you.
camera up, or?
That's me up there. I'm sorry. Would you like to swear me in? I'll just
Yes.
have to swear that's me.
Okay.
That's
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and that you are who you say you are?
yes, I do.
And your address, please?
9 Sherman Place.
Thank you so much.
That's very close to Central, right over there. Let me say that I don't know anyone who opposes fixing this building. No one would. We tried to work years with the Elks people, but they just couldn't get it together. And so we really expect this building to be treated well. It's historic, beautiful thing. And I want to know if a few things from the architect. Are you there, Mr. Haight? Is it?
I am here.
Lewis.
No, it's
but
Mr.
I'm not
Lewis.
the architect.
Mr. Lewis.
Okay.
Oh, Mr.
Yes, I'm here
Lewis?
as well.
Okay. What are the sizes of your bedrooms?
Ooh, I don't know the exact size. I could tell you for sure the minimum is generally a 10-foot dimension, but most of them are actually fairly larger than that. They're really all different sizes. The smallest one that I see is about 10 by, honestly, there are some that are 10 by 10, but generally the master bedrooms are more like 11 by 14 or so. Yeah, so that's generally between 10 by 10 is the smallest, up to generally like 11 or 12 by 15 or so.
Mm-hmm. So they're not big big bedrooms. Let me ask you another thing.
They're not huge, that's right.
Do the back stairs go up all the way to the 5th floor?
Yes, both stairs actually go all the way to the roof above the 5th floor.
Okay.
So yes.
And so the front stairs also?
Yes.
Okay. And you say you're fully sprinklered in all the public areas and on each hall?
No, the residents as well. The entire building is sprinkled.
Okay. I think the concern is that you've doubled the size of the building, really.
1
The
minute.
the historic element is dwarfed by the extra building you're putting there. And I think we have a principle on Central of bumping it back, the new stuff, just out of respect for the old building. And I think that would be good here because, you know, the highest you can go is 5 on Central. You have to have special permission. So you're asking to go pretty high.
30 seconds.
What's the community benefit? Do you have an affordable
Charles, I think
housing? Is this any affordable housing in here?
There's no affordable housing here.
Right. But you want to go up 5 stories. So what is the community benefit?
Well, part of it is the restoration of the facade in this building.
Well, you have to do that.
Well,
I mean, that's your job.
Miss Mills, respectfully, you know, and we let you do a Q&A, but I think we prefer that it not be a Q&A type format.
And time is up.
I'm okay.
Okay, thank you.
Promoting Katz Carolyn. And there are currently 5 hands that are remaining.
He's muted.
Okay, I think I'm here now.
And do you have a camera that works?
Yeah, I don't know why it's not. Ooh, I'm afraid that it. Okay, it's.
Well, let's just proceed without the camera, if that's okay.
Yeah. I just wanted to say that
I have to swear you in.
Oh,
I have
yes,
to get your address. Can you raise your hand, please?
Yes.
You solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and that you are who you say you are on the screen. And then I have your address.
Yes. My address is 74 Sherman Place.
Thank you.
And I've lived in the Heights since 1991. And I'm glad, like so many of the people have said today, that they're happy to see buildings that will accommodate new families and that we remain a growing community. However, I think that this building, and of course, we're glad that you're restoring it, but as someone else said, that's like required. But I find that it is upsetting that you are having so many, that it is going to be so many people moving in, and that the Heights, and this particular part of the Heights, is a neighborhood that does not have, that's going to get, overloaded with density. That we are a neighborhood of small houses mainly, with many old apartment buildings, and it's a diverse neighborhood, and it's a wonderful community to live in. But I do find that the 2 buildings that the building that you're adding, the way that you're adding to the original Elks Lodge is overdoing it, and it's too many. It is too dense, and I think Deborah McWilliams, who spoke before, reflects, said a lot of the concerns that many of us have. So I would see you're reducing the number of units by at least 10 units and making this something that fits into the character and what we, and the number of people so that we don't become overly crowded and overly dense. So that's my concern. Okay, now that's it.
Thank you.
Promoting Joanna.
Hi, can you hear me?
Hi, yes.
Okay, let me get my video turned on here. Give me a sec. Oh, wait, there it goes.
Just had it. Thank you.
Hi, everyone.
Can you raise your right hand,
Hi.
please?
Yes,
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And your address, please?
47 Hancock, Unit
Thank you.
103.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I'm actually on here, just to support this project. And I am a resident here. Literally, the historical building is right around the corner. So it's something that I see usually every day. And, overall, I just feel like, knowing that it is going to be existing structure, right? It's not going to be a tear down. So I feel like, it being historic, that adds attraction, and attraction adds value. And I feel like that's something that we do need. And I'm just super excited, to see what comes out of it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Promoting Laura.
Okay, am I in?
Yes, you're in.
Yes. Thank you. I was worried I wasn't going to be able to figure it out.
No, you figured it out. Can you raise your right hand, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
And can I have your address, please?
Sure. 101 Sherman Place.
Thank you.
And I've been listening to all of the comments, and, I can see that the people in the community are very excited to see something that was very sad now being turned into, and given a new life. And I can see that excitement kind of overriding something else. And the something else that it seems to be overriding to me is that, I'm listening about the adaptive reuse of a historic property and the mitigation of the impacts of the upper stories. And I'm trying to reconcile those things in my mind. And then when I looked at the drawing of what the front of the property looks like, it just looks to me like the top 3 floors just overwhelms the rest of the building. It doesn't have, I don't really understand why the facade isn't done in a similar color, although I think someone commented that they were hearing negative comments about that they wanted to kind of make it disappear. But to me, it just makes the building look lopsided or over top heavy. And I'm just wondering if there's a way to reduce that impact a little bit more. Clearly, to my mind, I think taking the top floor off altogether and having 2 floors over the top would make a much more balanced building. But the sad thing is that once this is done, it's done forever. And I would ask to just consider very strongly that it could be scaled back a little bit. It would be beautiful. It would be wonderful for the community, and it would be a real asset for this area. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Promoting Karen Wiseman.
I do solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. So help you God. And your address, please?
576 Palisade Avenue.
Thank you.
So I'm speaking on behalf of the Riverview Neighborhood Association. I'm the chair of the RNA Development Committee. Obviously, I know been spoken here many times. The first thing I want to say is, I'm going to support, obviously, I don't think Paul Amatuzzo is our sister neighbor association to the west. I'm going to support what his comments will be. So I'll try not to repeat them so you can hear it directly from him. But the main thing that I really, there's two things that a little upsetting, just in terms of the process. We're seeing changes for the first time tonight. Really inappropriate. They really should be presenting those to the community. And I think the planning department and this board has encouraged applicants to present, and get buy-in from the community first. It hasn't really happened here. I'll say the obvious, that nobody at RNA opposes this becoming residential. And nobody, obviously everyone wants it to be beautifully restored, of course, right? The issue is there was a new master plan that was just passed. That master plan still has this area as R1. It does not recommend that this street, even though it's adjacent to, close to Central Avenue, does not recommend that it be 5 stories. The master plan and the news happens to be that the new zoning that's being recommended by planning now still recommends 3 stories. So, and in some cases 4 stories max. So what you have here is a potential good project. The scale is wrong. So you have a 5-story building, basically in violation of the master plan. And then what you have, the intent of the master plan that was just passed, literally just passed. And then you have an issue of there's no setbacks like they did. So it was very interesting that that Charles mentioned the Palisade Avenue project firehouse. Well, the reason why I supported that was partially because they centered the set.
1 minute.
Yeah, the increased height was centered in the building. It was set back, so it disappears. That was the whole idea. So you have to lessen the intensity, you have to set that back, and then the last thing. So it really needs to be reworked. So I'm going to ask that you please deny this. Let them go back to the community, work on this, and give another shot. Last point is no affordable units. I feel like a broken record. How many times can we say we're all for residential units, more housing?
30 seconds.
You got to have affordable units so you don't displace people. That's the only way you can not displace people. And small bedrooms will reduce some of the units and make bigger bedrooms so they really are good for families. So put more thought into this. Don't do alarms that are going to annoy the neighbors across the street. Set that garage back. So please, I really think legally you have to deny this application until it conforms better with the master plan and the intent of the master plan. It doesn't have detriment to the community, and it actually
Promoting Paul Amatuzzo.
Thank you, Kern.
You're muted.
Paul, can you please unmute yourself? Thank you.
I'm sorry, my laptop is fried and I'm on a new device. So please bear with me. I don't know if my camera was working. I don't see myself yet. But if that's okay, I could continue without the camera.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay,
Can you raise your right hand, please?
sure.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and that you are Paul Amatuzzo as you say you are?
Yes, I do.
And can I have your address, please?
83 Sherburne Place.
Thank you.
I am also president of the Persian Field Neighborhood Association. So I ask that if my time goes beyond 33 minutes, you at least give me the common courtesy. I am speaking for hundreds of people who are in our boundaries. First off, I met with the owner 2 weeks ago, and we discussed the issues that why we would not support this project. He promised me that he would send me new plans last Thursday, which never happened. So now here I am tonight at this meeting looking at new revised plans that were not shared with anybody. This is really unfair. We had one meeting with this project back in its very early inception in November. The project has changed considerably from there. We had three main problems with this project. One was the garage exit coming across the sidewalk. Now they say they want to put an alarm in. How does that work at 2 o'clock in the morning? Are you going to have a garage door alarm going off so that everyone in the neighborhood is distracted or woken up in the middle of the night or every time the garage door opens? That seems ridiculous. 5 feet setback on Renato's lot line, is that enough to get professional scaffolding in so that the building can be worked on if it has to? I requested that the setback be the same as number 85 Hutton Street, which is, I think a 6-foot setback, so that we're not squeezing, and you've all have contradicted. I've got, the planner said it was 4.1 feet setback, and Jeffrey says it's 5-foot setback. So what is the correct setback? And is 5 feet gonna be big enough to put scaffolding in? My last comment is, when you are preserving a historic structure, it's important that the historic structure takes front stage. And we asked them to set the 4th and 5th story, set the 4th and 5th story back. Because if the 4th story was set back, you would actually be able to create some outdoor space for those 4th floor units. And the same thing with the 5th floor, which they already did set back. So we asked them to do that so that it didn't overwhelm the historic structure. And the other reason why we asked them for a bigger setback in the rear is because if you look at that rear facade, there are almost no windows. What kind of a building developer puts a building up that doesn't take advantage of the southern exposure? I've never seen something like this before. And we'll be looking at that forever, because Renato's is not going to be giving up their parking lot anytime soon. So I ask that you deny this project. We would like to see 10 units and a reduced footprint so that the garage does not cause pedestrian issues. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I do see one more hand that it's raised, Brett Wilson. I'm going to promote them. And that's the last hand that is raised.
Thank you. And Francisco, just announce, or I'll announce. So no one, that's it. Like we're closing the public portion. You've had plenty of time to raise your hands at this point. This is the last person that's going to speak.
Mr. Wilson, can you raise
Hello.
your hand, please?
Yes, I can.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
I do.
And can I just have your address, please?
Yes, 20 Cambridge Avenue.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you to everyone. First of all, I just want to say, the zoning is not required to give a variance by any means. I'm sure everybody knows that, but I just want to make that point. On this block, there's nothing more than a 2 or 3 story residence, and to do this building would be to set a dangerous precedent. But beyond that, the parking provided does not meet the minimum requirement, but it also includes provisions for compact cars and handicap spaces, which further reduces the amount of parking provided. Only if a certain composition of residents are in there, or would the spaces allowed actually be fully utilized. In addition to that, the utilities are overburdened by a great amount. I can't think of any resident that I know on the street who hasn't had flooding in their basement in a major storm. To have an additional structure adding to that, even if it's not adding to the impervious landscape, there's going to be additional plumbing that's added to an overburdened and ancient system that needs to be updated before any major developments are added to it. Plus, taking into account up the street where the city plans to build a large development in the parking lot where the Burger King is, knowing that that's coming down the line is something that needs to be taken into account, when developing. But those are my major concerns. I think that the drainage that's provided, I looked at it with a registered architect, and it seems like it's undersized. All the underground structures, I think they need to be reevaluated. They need to be upsized. The green roofs, I think, are really a token measure, and I think that the historic renovations are beautiful, but everything above that area, the new stuff is almost embarrassing. I know that when you're looking at a historic renovation, when you're adding on to it, that you're not necessarily looking to mimic the historic portion of it, but something needs to make sense. And what's being added on top of it is a very, very cheap looking structure that is going to really take away from the historic nature of the building that's being tried to preserve. Again, I applaud what they're trying to do with the lower levels, but the upper levels are almost embarrassing. So, I don't really have much more to say to that. I really just want these points to go in. I hope that the city will deny this on any one of those bases, but mainly the precedent of bringing a huge structure onto a street that does not have anything like that and doesn't need anything like that. There's plenty of land in Jersey City that can be developed with giant buildings. This is not one of them.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to close the public portion. I don't know, Chuck, I mean, I feel like you guys were responding in the moment. Is there anything you feel that you want to say at this point, or you want to wait until after we hear from staff?
I'll just say quickly and then get out of the way. The changes that you saw tonight were directly in response to comments that were provided to us from the community, either directly or through planning. As you saw the Renatos, I forget the name of the company, they wanted that setback. We provided the setback, and then we addressed the garage issue too. So it's not like we're providing some substantially different plan here. It was in response to address comments that we had received. And then just quickly, as this board knows, you're here because you have the ability to, if there's a master plan in place, but the master plan doesn't cover every property within the city. I mean, Jersey City has all kinds of developments and that have been built over numerous years. So you can't do a broad brush on every property, whether it's in zoning or the master plan. So that's why you look at it with the site suitability, the uniqueness of the structure. And I think you have all those elements here that I think it's going to create it's appropriate. We meet the positive and negative criteria, and it's going to be a great project. That's it.
I do think it might be because especially the residents that live relatively close by raise questions about the stormwater plan that was submitted in the packet, but nobody testified to it. But can somebody kind of speak to the adequacy of it?
Sure. Chuck, I could take this one.
Sure.
Yeah, we are providing underwater stormwater detention. It's designed to hold stormwater, and then there's a controlled outflow structure that lets it flow into the stormwater system just very slowly. It's got like a very small hole. This is size. These are standards that are statewide standards that everyone uses the same calculations to figure out what size it needs to be. And those calculations are all submitted to the JCMUA and definitely will comply with what's required. So that's a system that's not there now. So we're actually going to be making this better, where right now this is all either going right into the sewer or just sheeting off the property. And now it's actually going to be stored on the property and slowly released. So that will be improving.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Tanya, I'll hand this to you. But I guess one thing I'm thinking about for staff is there seems to be some community groups very actively involved, it seems, and some not very actively involved. I know planning usually works really hard to make sure that happens. What are we missing here?
So I wasn't sworn in at the beginning of the meeting, so I'm gonna make sure I'm sworn in if that's okay.
Yeah.
I can raise your hand. There you go. Do you
Yes,
solemnly
I-
swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I hope you got it.
I do.
Thank you.
So I'm gonna let Francisco do all the talking because he is the one who put all of the work in. I'm doing a horrible job being on vacation right now, but I did want to verify that Francisco's report was prepared with supervision of the licensed planners within the office, along with the collaboration of myself, who is also a licensed planner. But I do want Francisco to do the bulk of the work because he really was the one who worked on this, but I wanted to make known that he is covered under my license.
Thank you. Please enjoy your vacation.
I'm trying. Okay.
Enjoy.
So Francisco, it sounded from the outset and then kind of from the testimony from some members of the public that there might have been some last minute changes, might have been some questions that planning had. Where are we and kind of generally, what did you do to shepherd this project through? And kind of where do you think we are at the moment?
So I know at the beginning of the project, we had, I believe, 1 or 2 meetings between historic and planning. The first iteration it's completely different than what it looks like now. Some of the improvements were stormwater detention system, adding more green roof, setting back the building a little bit. I mean, we can't get all the things we want, but we sort of negotiated. And sort of with the last minute changes, it was very much hearing members of the community and what they wanted as well, whether that impacted their property or something that impacts their everyday life on the street. So these are some of the things, sort of like the pedestrian lights that was a safety concern. So these are some of the last minute changes that the board saw today.
Okay.
Francisco, can you speak to whether or not there was any push to try to get low or moderate income housing?
So this is something that I hold dear to my heart. This is something that I brought up at the first meeting, at least adding 1 affordable unit. However, we really, our hands are sort of tied behind our back just because the IZO is implemented. This is something that the IZO is only triggered when there's 15 units. This application also was submitted before the zoning changes, which included now, I believe it's the affordable housing overlay. This was something that was implemented after the fact that the application was submitted. So it's pretty much up to the developer at this point, as much as we can.
So that also makes it seem pretty interesting that there's actually a 4-bedroom unit with small bedrooms, and there are quite a few 3-bedroom units. If they had been able to add 1 or 2 more units, even though we'd like to see big units, some of them seem a little unusual. So, okay.
Francisco, anything else that you would want to add about the project?
Yeah, I mean, I did create a staff report. It pretty much sums up what we had as a discussion, but I can share my screen. I don't really want to read too much of it because I think it was already brought up there in previous testimony, but I do want to show the board and everyone else. There was a block and neighborhood analysis that was constructed using dwelling units per acre. And you can see that the area is pretty mixed. There are some other pictures which I've taken and also used Google Maps aerial to show what other buildings look like. In the area, this will not be the first 5-story building. There are a few 5, and I think there's one 10-story building, which is further out on Cambridge. But let me get to the density. So highlighted in blue is 81 Hutton, 14 units. The dwelling units per acre is 94. You can see from the chart that it really blends in with the neighborhood, which is currently a mix of dense 1, 2, and family, as well as multifamily buildings. In regards to the land use objectives of the Jersey City Master Plan, it does continue efforts to enhance residential neighborhoods. It ensures the city's available housing is balanced and meets the needs of all current and future residents. It recognizes and promotes the richness of the city's historic assets and cultural diversity. In terms of the MOUL, it does speak to secure safety from flood. The applicant is proposing almost 79% of the front yard to be landscaped, where 60% is required in the R1. They're implementing 5 street trees where, as of today, there are none that exist. And it is a very brutal walk in the summer with no street trees. They're also adding almost 2,100 square feet of green roof area, which is pretty large. And I mentioned this before, a stormwater retention system to mitigate the rainwater flooding issues that currently just go into the sewers. It also promotes and establishes, it promotes the establishment of appropriate population densities and concentrations that will contribute to the well-being of persons, neighborhoods, communities, and regions. Specifically, the applicant is proposing a residential use on a property within the zone district that allows for residential use. The proposed unit count is appropriate for the oversized nature of the lot, and proposed bulk associated with the multifamily use. It's fairly consistent and within the character and scale of the surrounding context. The site is 3 lots away from the neighborhood commercial. And as we know, neighborhood commercial does allow for 5 stories. And then lastly, it does promote the conservation of historic sites and districts. Although the applicant is meeting the minimum standards for positive criteria for historic preservation, this was also outlined in Miss Maggie O'Neill's staff report as well. They are proposing an element of historic preservation and will continue to work with city planning as well as historic. And then I believe the applicant's planner spoke to the height variance, but I do want to just briefly show everyone an aerial view of the immediate area. So in blue, this is the site. Now, this area is NC, so it does allow for 5 stories. So we can see there are elements of historic older buildings that have 5 stories, and then there are also new buildings taking advantage of the 5-story allowance. But you can see that there are buildings that have been approved by this board for 5 stories. And then there are also a little bit older buildings, not as old as, before zoning existed, but I would say roughly the 40s, 50s, 60s, maybe even 70s, 1970s. But overall, the applicant is providing 0.85 to 1 parking ratio. They'll be providing a secured space for bike parking, where only 7 will be required. They're providing 8. Additionally, the property is 0.7 miles away from the 2nd Street Light Rail in Hoboken, not to mention the frequent bus services along Central Ave and Palisades and Franklin, I believe. In staff's opinion, this speaks to the fact that the lot can handle the proposed amount of intensity of the existing lot, and therefore staff sees no substantial impairment of the intent of the R1 height limitation or the zone should the variances be granted. But I did want to quickly go back to this. So 36 Cambridge, which is one of the 5-story buildings in the photo I showed, this is, my apologies, it's not 36 Cambridge. It is 52 to 58 Cambridge. This is 32 units with 131 density and 5 stories. So this does blend in with the neighborhood. And with that, I conclude my testimony. If anyone has any questions.
Does anyone have any from the board have any questions for staff? If not, does anyone want to make a motion? Or have any further deliberation? I mean, any option.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion on it's 22 Z22-057 and it's at the 8183 Hutton Street. I would like to make a motion to approve the application with conditions.
Second.
Commissioner Park?
I really struggle with the height variance based on all of the comment from the public. And I'm not sure what the purpose of zoning is achieved with the height variance. So I'm gonna say no.
Commissioner Silva?
Yes.
Commissioner Arujo? You're muted.
Yes.
Commissioner Allen?
I like the fact that the facade is being restored. Yes, excuse me, yes.
Commissioner Green?
Yes.
And Commissioner Donnelly?
Although I look forward to the redevelopment of this property, I think the height variance is too much. But you would have had me with one low income unit. You would have had me with one.
And Chairman Jacobs?
No, and I like this project. The sense I got from the leaders in the community was, again, that there are different groups in the community to talk to. I think that whatever, maybe there was some error in communication, but we could probably do a better job, I think, making sure that we're coordinating. Not that we need to be in agreement, but it just sounded like some local people weren't really even aware of the most current plan. Plus I have no problem with the height, although some people do. I think there could be some setback, and I think that I had concerns with the configuration for parking. Anytime you need to do some cockamamie scheme to make parking work, I would say have no parking. And you know what? You could have no parking. That could be units. Could be, I would have no problem. More density, no parking, which isn't what anyone in the public wants. So.
On a motion to approve, there are 4 in favor and 3 opposed. Motion
The
carried.
application fails.
Fails. Okay.
Okay, I think, Mr. Chairman, that Diane might need a break here.
I was about to ask Diane, I assume you want a break?
Sure, it doesn't have to be long.
Yes, great. Let's do that. Okay.
Here-
Great.
Here comes Sonia and Tom. We have your notices for these applications, so why don't we mark those? Your affidavit, proof of service, notice of publication. Where are you, Diane? Oh, there you are. We're going to mark those as A1 for this application.
Sure, and I'll just put my name on the record, Tom Lean of Connell Foley, and just note that this application was duly carried from the last hearing on March 23rd voluntarily by the applicant. So now that we have a full complement, maybe we will just combine these applications. And I'll just give a brief intro here. We currently have an existing condition of a vacant lot that is approximately to almost 6,000 square feet, about 58 by 100, 59 by 100. There are 3 existing lots and there were 3 existing homes on those lots. One of the existing vacant lots is conforming at 25 by 100. The other 2 lots are woefully undersized. They're 16.8 by 100. They're not consistent with the plan. The proposal is to combine the lots and then subdivide them into 2 lots of almost 3,000 square feet, and construct 2 3-unit buildings on each of the newly subdivided lots. Those developments would be serviced by a shared curb cut with parking in the rear for 1-to-1 parking, 6 total spaces. I really want to thank Cameron, who prepared a great report for us. And I want to point out 2 things before Mr. Lewis starts. As I said, the condition previously was really out of line with the R1 district. We had undersized lots. We had buildings that were dilapidated and not utilized, and we had front-end parking, which is not only disfavored in the city, but it's actually not permitted. Those conditions are going to be removed by this development. We're removing 1 curb cut and replacing it with one curb cut where there was 2 previously to service both buildings. And that will bring the site conditions more into compliance with the zoning. Additionally, Mr. Black prepared a density chart for the block, which shows that the average is 50 units per acre within this tax plot. And just going through the tax records, you can see that there's a very wide array of types and sizes of lots and buildings within this tax lot. While 50 is the average, by providing 2 buildings with 3 units in it, we're actually coming in at 45. So right in keeping with what the density currently is. While the zoning currently doesn't allow for 3 units on these blocks, there is a push to eventually amend the R1 to allow greater density on larger size lots. That would allow for 42 units per acre. We're at 45. Obviously, that's not before the board, but I do just want to bring that up, as Mr. Black did in his report, because it's the way the city is trending as far as the R1 on the larger side lots. So all of that said, Mr. Lewis, I would ask that you very quickly, walk the board through the subdivision and then go into your site plans for the buildings, which are almost identical.
Sure. And first, I'll just confirm that I am still under oath from before and still a licensed architect.
Yes.
Thank you. All right. So with that, I'm going to bring up my screen and just start here on the second sheet so I can show. On the left here is an existing survey of the building. Excuse me, of the property. So you see the 1 lot here is 25 feet wide, and then we have these 2 lots, which are each 16.8 feet wide. And then on the new site plan, you can see we have just this new dividing line right down the middle with a matching building on each side of it. So that's really the extent of the site survey.
Mr. Lewis, it appears you're actually showing your full site plans and not just the subdivision plat. I do just want to, and before you proceed, we did amend our plans because the plans that were provided to the board actually had the properties mirrored on the site plan. We amended those and provided them to Cameron today. So, Mr. LaPaglia, if we could enter this as A2.
Certainly, yes, A2.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Lewis.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you. And I do want to apologize for that mistake. That was on me, and I'm a little embarrassed about it. So let me start by just getting right into that. I mean, Tom did a great job of summing up what we had here and what we're doing. So what I want to start with is these photos here in the center. This is showing the empty property and the buildings next to us. So the building on the left is built on the property line and has no windows on the property line. And so we're proposing now to build our building on the left right up against that. So in compliance with the R1, where you have a 0 setback, you provide a 0 setback. Then on the right side, we do have some windows on the right side, and their setback is actually a little more than 3 feet. So we're going to provide a 2-foot setback between our building on that side. So it would make it a little more than 5 foot overall. Again, that's in the R1. If someone has 5, you do 2 to make it 5 combined. So we are going to be in compliance with the 2 side yard setbacks with that one minor change. So with that, I want to move on to the site plans. My site plan is over here on the right. First of all, we are doing all new concrete curbs, all new concrete sidewalks. We are proposing 3 new street trees as well as a paver strip along with the street trees. As Tom mentioned, there are 2 existing curb cuts. We're getting rid of them and having 1 new shared 10-foot curb cut down the middle of the property. This accesses a 10-foot wide access easement for the driveway, which leads you to the backyard where we have a 6-car parking area. The parking area is surrounded by a 6-foot vinyl privacy fence. And the driveway and the parking area are both finished with permeable pavers as shown in the center of the drawing here. That's an image of what we would be using. Moving on to our property. On the front of the property, we are proposing a 9x15 front yard, and this would be accessed by the ground floor apartment. That's enclosed with a 48-inch high black aluminum fence. It's buffered on 2 sides with shrubbery. And then on the 3rd side, we're proposing a trash enclosure, which would open towards the driveway. And I'm also showing an image of what we would be proposing for the trash enclosure. We're also going to be using that front area as something of a rain garden. We will be directing our water spouts, our roof leaders to that area and planting the proper plants to provide for a rain garden in the front. With that, I'm going to move right into the floor plans here. These are basically the same as what was originally submitted to you. Looking at the first floor first, I'm just going to go through one of each. So on the ground floor, you enter into a small lobby. You would go up to apartments 2 and 3, or just to the right to enter the ground floor apartment. All 3 of the apartments in this building are 3-bedroom, 2-bath apartments. The ground floor apartment is 1,221 square feet, and it has that front yard. In the front, we have this living, dining, kitchen area, and then 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms in the back. I do have to add, we also have a small cutout in the back for our sprinkler. This building will be a fully sprinklered building, so that will be accessed from the parking area. And then I did also add a small cutout at the front of the building here. This is for our meters. I had originally put them in the back, but to be honest with you, PSC&G isn't going to put them back there. They don't care if I show them there. They're going to put them right here. And I didn't want them to intrude on the driveway, so I made sure to give them an inset area that they could do, that they could put their meters. Looking to the 2nd floor apartment, we have a very similar layout. It's slightly larger, 1,240 square feet. It also has a 56 square foot balcony off of the back bedroom. So again, living, dining, kitchen in the front, and the 1, 2, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths in the back. Moving on to the 3rd floor and the roof plan. The 3rd floor is larger. It's 1,367 square feet. It includes the 3rd floor and the roof deck. This is actually flipped. So now we have the living, dining, kitchen in the back, 3 bedrooms in the front, and the balcony is now off of the living area. The roof deck is accessed directly from the apartment. So you can see we have this internal stair which goes upstairs directly to the roof deck. This is accessed only by the 3rd floor apartment, so it's a private roof deck. The roof deck is set back 16 feet from the front of our building, so about 20.
I can't hear Jeffrey. Is anyone having this problem?
Yes. Back, right?
Sorry.
Am I back? Yeah, that was my fault. My earbud hung up on me and cut out. You can hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
I apologize. Very sorry for that. Okay, so here we are on the 3rd floor. I hope I explained most of it. It's similar, but a flipped layout with the living room in the front, living room in the back, bedrooms in the front. It has its own private roof deck with its private stair from inside the unit directly up to the roof deck. The roof deck, again, as I mentioned, it's set back 16 feet from the front of our building, 25 feet from the front property line. And we're using that setback area for green roof trays. There's 335 square feet in total of green roof trays for each building. And then 930 square feet of a private patio area, which is finished in the Trek decking as shown here. Moving on to the elevations, we are proposing a fairly modern building here. We did change the brick. Originally, we were proposing a darker gray black brick. We changed the brick to be a smooth red brick. We have this two-story cantilever. It's on the second and third floor. It projects out 1 foot, and the border of it is finished with a smooth stucco finish, and that's going to be painted a light gray color. And then the infill panels are a dark gray vinyl fiber cement siding. And then all the windows have black frames, and all the doors also have black frames. The exception is our front entry door, which is a wood door with glass pane that's going to be painted a dark gray color. The rest, the sides and the back elevation are finished with a gray vinyl siding. Black aluminum railings for the balconies and for the front. And that really would go over all this. I just wanted to show the rendering, which I think shows the front elevation a little better. You can see the cantilever out, the infill panels, and the red brick finish. That actually concludes my presentation. I'm happy to stick around and answer questions when you have them.
Thank you.
I'm assuming we will save all the questions till the end. So with that, I would bring up Sam Bellamy of Dresden Robin, who is my professional planner.
And I do recognize that I am still under oath and my license is still in good standing.
Yes.
Great. So getting right into the variance request, this is a D1 use variance. We're proposing 2 3-unit buildings where predominantly 1 and 2 family buildings are permitted in the R1 district. The block itself is situated between both the NC district, which runs along Central Avenue to the east, and the RC1 district that runs along Summit Avenue to the west. So those are both higher intensity zones. The Central Avenue corridor, again, is a mixed use corridor with plenty of retail uses that can support increased density. As Mr. Lean said in his introduction, we are taking 3 lots and with the subdivision creating two oversized lots with respect to the R1 standards. One lot will be 2,912 square feet. That's lot 10.01, and proposed lot 10.02 will be slightly less at 2,893 square feet. So they are above that 2,500 square foot minimum requirement in the R1 district. As Tom said, we are also getting rid of 2 undersized lots, and they were substantially undersized at approximately 1,600 square feet. There was 1 conforming lot, and then again, we are removing 2 curb cuts, consolidating them into 1 and providing for 1 curb cut for a shared driveway accessing the rear yard parking area on the lot. And that is consistent with the R1 district requirements when you're building 2 new homes adjacent to each other to provide for consolidated driveway and curb cut. With respect to the use variance, I do think the site is particularly suitable to accommodate both the 3-unit buildings. As I said, they are slightly oversized. They are keeping with the existing density on the block, both with respect to permitted 2-family homes that are greater densities just due to having smaller lot sizes, and also with other multifamily buildings ranging from 3 to 6 units on the block, which do have greater densities ranging from 53 units per acre to 109 units per acre. So although we are proposing additional units, it's in line with the density of the surrounding area, certainly in character with the mix of uses. And again, the increased density can be supported with the commercial corridor along Central Avenue. We are proposing 3-bedroom units, and they are nice size units provided on each floor. The building footprint itself is complying with all the bulk standards, except for the front yard setback variance, which I'll get into in a little bit. We do meet the side yard setback requirements. We meet the rear yard setback requirement. We actually meet the combined front and rear yard setback requirement of 35 feet. And we are actually under the permitted maximum building coverage, 51% and 53.1%, 52% and 51%, where 60% is permitted. So the building footprint itself is not only in line with what's permitted, but is actually reduced size due to the greater lot size here. So we are consistent in terms of scale with the surrounding area. We are asking for a front yard setback variance. I do think this could be granted here where the benefit would substantially outweigh the detriment. We'll also say with the use variance, a lot of times the bulk variances are subsumed with that due to being related to 1 and 2 family homes. So we're proposing a 10-foot setback. A required front yard setback would be 14 feet due to the 14.5 feet due to the predominant front yard setback on the block. That greater front yard setback really allows for the front yard parking, which you can see along the block frontage. So here in the case, we're actually removing what was previously front yard parking, providing for landscaped areas consistent with the intent of the zone plan, and providing a front yard setbacks that's both appropriate on the block, and by proposing an increased rear yard setback, we're still meeting the combined setback total here. We're also requesting a variance for the minimum drive aisle width. We have 22 feet where 24 feet is required. The spaces do meet the minimum requirements at 8.5 feet wide by 18 feet. So we do think there is enough space here to maneuver vehicles back here. They'll be assigned to the units, so they'll be familiar with the parking layout and how to maneuver throughout this space. In my opinion, there's no substantial detriment to the public good or general welfare here. We're developing currently vacant lots with appropriately scaled and sized 3-unit buildings consistent with the density in the surrounding area. We're providing for adequate setbacks, allowing for light air and open space. Again, we're consolidating the curb cut, providing for a shared driveway, and providing front yards landscaping, street trees, substantially improving the streetscape along Irving Street. In my opinion, there's no substantial impairment to the intent and purpose of the zone plan. Again, this is consistent with other multifamily buildings on the block in terms of density and number of units. It's also consistent with the vision of the master plan, allowing for a little bit greater density in the R1 district. Overall, we are providing for a balanced housing supply, again, providing for well-sized 3-unit buildings. So with that, I do think that the property is particularly well suited for the proposed 3-unit buildings. Again, the benefits of the setback would substantially outweigh the detriments. And I think this project meets both the positive and negative criteria here.
Thank you. Tom, anything else?
The only thing I would add, and thank you, Sam, I didn't see it as a condition listed in the report, but we would agree, which is standard whenever you subdivide a lot, to have cross easements for the 2 properties so they can continue to share the driveway. So we would agree to that condition.
Okay. Anyone from the board have any questions at this point? Okay, anyone from the public have any questions regarding this application? It's cases Z22-037 and Z22-048, addresses 29.5, 31, and 33 Irving Street.
Promoting Cynthia Miller.
Hi. I had to get the camera to start video. Okay, can you see me? Hi.
Yes.
Hi, can you raise your right hand, please? Do you solemnly swear the testimony about to give in this matter be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And your address, please?
29 Irving Street.
Thank you.
Hi. I love their plans. I think it's great. It saves parking for people. However, they want to build up against my house and I have a 13-foot chimney here. So I don't understand how they can build up against my chimney. And that's concerning to me. And that's really all I just want to ask, because carbon monoxide is real poisoning. So
Thank you, Ms. Miller. Tom, are you, I don't know to what extent
Sure.
you guys have worked with Ms. Miller, but hopefully you can work out this issue.
I have not had a direct conversation with my client about this. Obviously, I will raise it to him. I'm going to let Mr. Lewis address it directly, and then I'll give the legal answer to this question.
Sure, she's right. There is a chimney at the back of the property that actually there's an old demising wall that is already 6 inches on our property, the old party wall. So we'll be setting in a little for that. So the chimney is intruding onto our property, but we would work around it. We would seal it up, obviously, and clean it up, restucco it, and build around it.
okay, like I said, my concern is, you know, if you're going to be right up against it, I don't really know how that works with it being so low, because your properties are beautiful. And I think it's great that you're only taking one driveway instead of 3 for the properties. And obviously I was a row house, so those houses were tiny. So I think it's great. I'm just concerned about that.
So you're concerned, I think, Thomas, I think we could, as a condition, agree to extend her chimney to make sure it's up above our roof line.
I have no problem with that as a condition of approval. And the other thing I was going to say is whenever you're building against a party wall, you're required to get an engineer's report that you're not going to damage that property. You're required to submit it to the neighbor, and you're required to meet with them and have them sign off on it. So this is the beginning of the conversation with Ms. Miller. When we're going in for permits, we're going to have a lot of back and forth with her.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, Ms. Miller, we're not the building department. I don't understand what those things are. But you can't build a project that doesn't, meet a whole host of requirements, and they will make sure that they are
like I
meeting
said,
those
it's beautiful
requirements.
what they want to do. I'm just concerned. That's my
Okay.
concern. And I keep looking because I got the notice and then it's changed. And I just wanted to get that question there because that's a concern.
Thank you.
The valid one.
Okay.
So thank you.
Thank you very much. Francisco, anyone else?
No, there are no other hands that are raised.
Okay, we'll close the public portion. Any staff comments?
Hey, good evening, everyone. I was the planner on this one, and I am going to, as usual, just start by asking, and I think Tom may have said this already, but your client's willing to agree, of course, to the conditions in the planning memo dated March 22nd of this year.
That's correct, with the added condition of cross easements and accommodating for the chimney on the property.
That was my next question. Okay, and that was yes, an 8th condition for the easement, and 9th to maintain the structural integrity of the chimney on the adjacent property at 29 Irving. So planning staff agrees with the testimony given by the professional planner provided by the applicant, Mr. Bellamy. So the density, the use variance, planning staff feels can be accommodated here and integrate without any detriment to the zone plan or the master plan. And the front yard bulk variance setback, the 4 feet that it is protruding, there are other homes on the block that have this setback. And the predominance of the homes that do not have this setback are unfortunately using their front yards for parking. And I believe that is, an unfortunate result of this setback here on this block. But in general, planning staff feels that this will actually bring the zone into greater conformance with the objectives and goals of the master plan. And we're seeing some really nice incorporation of green design with the permeable pavers, the rain garden, and the green roof. And I'm sure what will be, utilities that are all up to par with the new standards for energy efficiency. So I think in general, we have a project that's far more sustainable than some of the older developments. So overall, planning sees this as a positive to the community, and planning staff recommends approval.
Thank you. So Francisco or Vinny, so how do we need to vote on this? I think we first need to
Vote on the subdivision.
vote, yeah, on the subdivision, and then after that's approved, vote on the project.
Correct.
Okay.
So we need a motion first on the subdivision.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve case Z-22-037 with a minor subdivision of addresses 29.5, 31, and 33 Irving Street.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Commissioner Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Arujo.
Yes.
Whoa, got a bug in my house. Commissioner Silva,
Yes.
Commissioner Allen,
Yes.
Commissioner Park,
Yes.
Commissioner Donnelly,
Yes.
and Chairman Jacobs.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries to approve the subdivision.
Mr. Chairman, will be in order to make a motion to approve this next case.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I would like to make a motion to approve case Z-22-048, minor site plan with C&D variances, address at 29.5, 31, and 33 Irving Street with conditions.
I second.
Commissioner Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Arujo,
Yes.
Commissioner Silva,
Yes.
Commissioner Allen,
Yes.
Commissioner Park,
Yes.
Commissioner Donnelly,
Yes.
and Chairman Jacobs.
Yes.
Motion carries, all in favor.
Thank you so much, everybody, for your time.
Okay,
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good
Okay.
luck.
Good luck.
Okay, case Z-22-083. The address is 345 Central Avenue.
Promoting Michael Higgins.
Good evening again, everyone. Michael Higgins of Castano Quigley Cherami.
Good evening. And I know, Mr. Higgins, that I already said that you have -6 minutes on this application, but I'm sure that you won't take too long on this.
You won't disappoint.
We do
Mr.
have,
Higgins, we do have your notices, so why don't we mark those? Your affidavit, proof of service, notice of publication, we'll mark those. Where are you, Diane? There you are in the corner. A1. And so the floor is yours, Mr. Higgins.
okay, so this is 345 Central Avenue. It's block 2802, lot 28. It's right now a 5-story mixed-use building. We're seeking a use variance for a proposed religious use in the NC zone. We also, even though NC zoning controls the lot, we also require variances for lot width, lot size, and for parking standards based on the R1 House of Worship standards, as there's no House of Worship standards for the NC zone. The interesting thing with this lot is it's a little weird. It's an L-shaped lot. It fronts on both Lincoln and Central Avenue, and it's actually split zoned between the R1 and the NC zones. So with regards to the variances, I think first I'd say for the use variance, we worked with planning, had numerous conversations with the planning department, and modified the application so there's 1,000 square feet of commercial space to front on Central Avenue, and this way that would preserve the commercial corridor. Well, the rear of the lot, we moved the proposed temple there, and it would front on Lincoln Street, where that's in the R1, where the use would be proposed, would be permitted, excuse me. And then the elephant in the room with this application would be the parking requirements. And we have testimony tonight from to show that the way that a Hindu temple is used won't burden parking in the way that you would typically think of, like, for example, a Christian church would, where people would congregate all at once. So I do have a couple witnesses tonight. We have our architect, Yogesh Mistry. We have a member of the community that will be a member of the temple and the owner of the property to testify very briefly. And we also have a planner to testify on the variances. If we could swear Yogesh in and move through his testimony.
Mr. Higgins, can you tell me who is, what's the name of the individual who is the owner?
Nitin Kohli.
Okay, I promote them. Thank you.
I remember approving this application, this L shape, and it's crazy because I'm looking at this on Google Maps, and between when I first opened it and like moving myself around, it changed. So it's now updated, but before it was the old building that was like 2 stories on Central. I'm sorry, go forward.
Yogesh. So can you just
I have to swear him in, I'm sorry. Can you
Yeah.
raise your right hand, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Okay, Yogesh, could you please share the plans and just walk us through very briefly what we're proposing on the property?
Sure. Can everyone see this? Yeah, just to reiterate what Mr. Higgins has mentioned.
Mr. Higgins, just so we're clear, this gentleman is a licensed architect in the state of New Jersey, and his license is current, and I'm not so sure if he's been before the board. I can't remember at this hour, but
Yeah, I am a licensed architect, and it is in current standing. So I've been in front of this board a few years back.
okay. I just wanted that on the record. So go ahead. Sorry.
Thank you.
So the diagram number 2 on the cover sheet A0.00, again, just kind of describes the L-shaped lot. It straddles 2 zones, the R1, which faces Lincoln, and the NC zone, which faces Central Avenue. This is an existing building that's previously approved. It's under, I think construction is almost complete, but it's still somewhat under construction. We're here really just to talk about some interior renovations that causes the use change on the ground floor and the basement levels. Just to quickly describe the existing conditions, this plan to the right is the first floor plan. It's at ground level to Central and Lincoln. You enter, the main entrance is on Central Avenue. There's a secondary entrance on Lincoln. It was previously approved as all commercial space on the first floor, as well as commercial space on the basement level, shown here. All the 4 upper levels above that are residential apartment units, which are going to stay as is. Switching over to the sort of proposed floor plan sheet, essentially the change is happening on the ground floor and the basement level. We're keeping 1,000 square feet of commercial space on the Central Avenue side. The remaining half, or the back end of the space, 6,213 square feet, is becoming house of worship or religious space. And then 5,239 square feet of the basement area here is also religious space, really support spaces for the house of worship that's on the ground floor. All the upper levels, again, would stay as apartments. Just to quickly describe how this functions, the retail space would still have an entrance on Central Avenue. There will be no entrance for the house of worship on Central Avenue. This is just an emergency exit. The main entrance for the house of worship will be off of Lincoln Street. You'd enter from here. This is the main prayer space. There'd be altars on either side, and then sort of circulation space through it. There's some religious service corridor space off to the side. This is a Hindu temple, and this is also sort of a little bit more unique as well, in that different than a Christian church might be, where people gather sort of at specific times every week, maybe on every Sunday. This is not like that. This is more of a temple where patrons would come in at their leisure. They would pass through this space. There'd be various deities on the altars, and they would kind of just come to each deity, provide an offering or do their prayers, and then continue on and kind of continue through all the deities to kind of circulate through this space, and then really just kind of exit out. There's really no seating in this facility. People may sit on the ground, just if they wanted to sit there for a little bit longer, but otherwise they would just kind of come through here, circulate, and come back out. The basement level really is for all support spaces only. There's going to be toilets and offices and storage areas, things like that, to support the religious functions on the ground floor. Based on their religious practice here, there will be no prayer space at all down here, because their practice doesn't allow for kind of any deities or gods to be installed at sort of below grade. So it just would prevent any kind of prayer space in the basement itself. Essentially just be support spaces. We're not planning any changes to the exterior. The storefront that was originally proposed would still stay the same. We're not changing any signs. We're not adding any signage. So all the other functions of the building on the exterior would stay the same. Just lastly, I just kind of describe sort of more of the function of the temple, is that this is a sort of a local community temple. It's not a sort of a destination facility where people would be coming from miles away. It's really to serve the local community that might come by bus or just walking, or a function that might happen on the way home from work if they live in this area. So it's really not sort of a destination temple. That really kind of covers the changes that we're looking for in this building. It's really more of a use change. We want to keep the retail frontage on Central, but also provide some kind of house of worship for the balance of the first floor.
Thank you, Yogesh. Next, we would like to have Nitin Kohli testify very briefly just about how the way that the temple is used, and some of the nature of how religious practices differ from what we might expect from, say, a church, for example. If we could please swear Nitin in.
Solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, and don't forget to unmute yourself.
You're muted, Nitin.
Yep. Thank you.
I confirm.
Thank you.
So I just want to say that we consider deities our gods. So we consider them as a living being, even though they are in the form of stone. And the whole idea over there is, we cannot put them under the earth. Our altar would look like something like this, where all these deities.
I'm sorry, Nitin. I think we should omit this part of the presentation just for the sake of time.
Okay.
Board. Could you just briefly confirm that what Yogesh said is correct? Namely, the first point that people will not be assembling all at once for mass, that they'd be passing through sort of throughout the day sporadically. Is that correct? And
Yes. Actually, there's no discourse, no mass. People come, they bow to the deities, they offer fruits and flowers, and they move to the next DT, like they spend maybe a minute, minute and a half, and and they do the whole moving around, and they should be, I would say, between 10 to 15 minutes, they should be done with the temple. And on the way out, we offer them some offering, fruit, as a blessing from the deity.
Right. So there's not a specific peak time or date that it would be.
No, so some people could come and, offer something for the breakfast, or, some people can do during the lunch, or, evening time. It is as it is convenient, someone going to the office, kids going to the school, coming back. Do not expect, there's no set time, there's no prayer time, there's no seating actually. We don't let it sit.
Thank you, Nitin. And the last question, just to confirm that in the religion, worship is not permitted below ground level in the basement, so that's not counted in our prayer space calculation, right?
Yes, so people do prayer in their minds to the deity, and the deity cannot come under the ground.
Okay, thank you. That concludes Nitin's testimony. We also have Carolyn Worstel as a planner testify about the variances.
Promoting Carolyn. Won't let me promote her. Give me 1 second. There we go. Oh, she declined.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure that was unintentional.
Yeah, I'm promoting her again. For some reason, it's been acting weird today.
I apologize. This is not 6 minutes, but we're
No, you are entitled to give your full, you're the applicant, and I want you to put on record everything that you feel you need to put on record.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so it says she declined again. I don't know if it's Zoom today.
I can try and reach out to her and see if there's maybe technical difficulties.
I can't allow her to talk, just to see maybe if something, let's see.
Oh, here she comes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, there she goes.
Oh, sorry. Let me do that again. Seems like that worked. Okay.
Carolyn, you're on mute.
Francisco, can you unmute her?
No, I can only ask to unmute. I don't have the feature to unmute.
I'll try and give her a call. I'll put myself on mute 1 second and see if we can figure out what's going on. I can't seem to get through to her. I don't know. I assume she's experiencing some tech issues right now. I'll leave it to the board's discretion with the proper thing to do. I think we could carry to complete the testimony to the next hearing. I can reach out again if that's better.
I mean, up to you. I feel badly. I feel like we probably, you know, it would, I don't know how much there is to even say from a planning perspective. We're like, it was going to be commercial. It's now going to be partially, you know, a Hindu temple on a residential block. So not on Central Avenue. So it's probably more in line with, you know, what the uses are on the block. It's a benefit to the community in terms of it provides some type, you know, a use. It's not going to be a burden in that it's not going to have, you know, pressure on parking, the anticipation is that people would walk and it's for, you know, members of the immediate community. I'm sure Carolyn's going to say more than that. So up to you, because I mean, I don't know, you know, I don't want us to sit here indefinitely.
Right.
You know, the only question I do have, and I like the idea of having this temple in my neighborhood for my neighbors. But once we grant this religious use variance, if for some reason the worshipers decide they don't need this space anymore, and let's say some other kind of church moves in that has more parking demands, I guess once we grant that variance, it's staying.
Yeah, but if a church needs parking, why would they go to that space? There's no parking.
Yeah.
I would say that that's a valid concern. I think I agree with Mr. LaPaglia's comment that
right,
it wouldn't be a church's ideal location. I mean, there's no aesthetic of it being a church on the front. It looks like a commercial space on the front, and the access is on the side.
Right.
Lincoln.
Right. And then also there would be, let's say their residency ended and they don't want to stay there. If somebody wanted to convert it back to commercial, there would be no issue because that would be conforming.
Mhm.
Correct? Right? Okay.
Right.
Okay. Just getting that straight in my head. Okay.
So, Mike, did you have Carolyn's cell phone? It's going into voicemail? Is that the idea?
It went to voicemail.
Can you text her?
Yeah, I can send her a message. I'll see.
I mean, you know, we don't want to deny the applicant any time, but could we maybe also hear from the city planner?
Yeah, I mean,
planning analysis.
I have no objection to putting that before our own planning testimony. Yeah.
I can share my screen. It's very brief. I think pretty much spoke about what is proposed. The applicant's proposing to create approximately 11,000 square feet of ground and cellar level space of the existing structure. This will be used as a house of worship, as was discussed. Let me get to so for use variance, the project should be evaluated in terms of intensity. In this case, it's a little unique and different. Although the lot is substantially less than what is required for houses of worship in the R1 zone, the applicant has testified how the use and size is being accommodated. The location is unique in that the lot is an L shape and is also a split zoned lot between R1 and NC. I believe it was testified that the vast majority of the house of worship is within the NC, which is why the use variance has been triggered. The proposed house of worship is consistent, or the use is consistent with the properties in the nearby area that are also religious uses. The portion that fronts Central Ave will remain as a ground floor commercial to attract pedestrian traffic and to align with the NC purpose in that zone. Overall, staff doesn't see a detriment to the zone and the plan. Staff recommends approval. But if any of the board members have any questions, feel free to ask me at this moment.
I just realized that by me making that suggestion, we also jumped ahead of checking
Public
with the
comment.
public.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we also, I mean, I don't feel like we can ask the open it to the public without them doing their full application.
Yeah.
There is one hand that is raised, and it's David Cruz.
Commissioner.
But yeah, that is strange that it won't let me.
Did you get it, Mike?
I could not get her. Still waiting to hear back, but I guess I'm fine with opening it to the public and seeing if there's any comments, and then
I'm fine with that if you're fine with that. I mean, I think that I don't want to speak for David, but I imagine he's going to champion development on the Central Ave corridor.
Promoting David Cruz.
Will I need to swear him again since it's a separate application?
Well, you can remind him he's under oath.
Okay,
That's about it. That's good enough.
all right.
Where are you, David? Again, you have video problems, right? Now audio as well. No,
He's
this-
on.
You hear me now?
Yeah.
yes, we can hear you. We still
Okay.
can't see you. Have you changed since the last application?
Yes, I
Oh, there
did.
you are. Look
There
at
he
you.
is.
Hello, everybody. How you doing?
Good, good.
Hi, David.
I'll just
want to-
remind you, you're still under oath, and if you could just give me your address again.
My address is 280 Central Avenue, Jersey City.
Thank you.
All right. Let me know when you're ready for me.
I'm
We're
ready.
ready.
Okay. What did the Central Avenue SID say with the letter of recommendation, or they denied it? I didn't hear nothing about what the SID said on Central Avenue. If I'm not mistaken, they denied the house of worship in the district. That's one. Number two, yeah, people walk to the churches, temples, everywhere. People take Uber, but there was no mention about parking spots. It's 6,000 square feet. Why they need that so much room? I go to St. Nick's. It's 2 blocks away. I drive there. You're telling me nobody's gonna drive there? There's no parking spots on Central Avenue, especially 500 parking spots to fit a room of 6,000, a space of 6,000 space. If you were telling me we're doing something on Lincoln Street, 1,000 square feet, that means it cannot hold up to 500 people. But this, it looks like it's a whole 500 people. And yes, you do have seats in temples or in churches and everything, because the elderly need to sit down on a chair, because sometimes they can't get to the floor. And you need to, I was in an Indian temple recently, a Hindu one, and they had chairs. I was sitting on a chair. They had chairs, they had special events, and it was packed. And the parking lot across the street, it's not done. There's no developer there, yes, that said, yes, I'm building a parking lot 5 stories high. They didn't break ground yet. They didn't do nothing at all with that parking lot. I've been hearing from Bill Gorham, I've been hearing from Michael, and I've been hearing from Yusuf. There's no parking lot built there. So where are these 6,000 square feet, 500 people are going to park their cars? Now, they have the diner right next door. I order food to me because I can never find parking spots there. The neighbors on Lincoln Street, the community on Central Avenue, where you gonna find all these parking spots? You're not gonna find parking spot. The parking lot in the back that people do use, they're monthly parking spots. And those parking spots are for the people that shop in the area, they use it for an hour, they come in and out. But if there's a gathering, or if there's a wedding, or there's a meeting at the church, where are all the people gonna park? Not everybody lives in the 5-block radius that's gonna go to that church. There's gonna be people, like you guys said, you guys could be living in Rutherford, Secaucus, downtown Jersey City, and go to the church over there. And when they go in there, where they go park at? We have problems with parking. I think this project is no good. I think you guys could share the letter that the Sanctuary Sid sent over, that how they think it's not a good for the neighborhood. And me as a resident, I live on Central Avenue, you know, I'm not saying that just because my opinion should matter, but I think I talk to residents, there's no parking spots in that area on Central Avenue. I live in Central Avenue, I have a business in Central Avenue. I give quarters to the people who come to my business, my family business, because they're looking for a meter. I could park 3 blocks away, but I gotta put extra quarters here, take the extra quarters, go park it. That's what we do in Central Avenue. To hold down 6,000 square feet, that's a big place. You don't need a big place for having 10 people just to walk in and pray and then leave. St. Nick's got a parking spot. There's no other churches on House of Worship on Central Avenue. That's to be the only one. And I heard, you know, this is why I think there's no religious use in that district. To make it go through Lincoln Street, you're still doing it on Central Avenue because people are still gonna go there. Why make the big space if only a few people are going there? That's like me opening up a store. My store is 750 square feet. That's like me opening up my store and making it 6,000 square feet. I don't even have that many people to fit in there.
I messed up on my duty and I forgot to initiate the timing. But
okay.
Seemed like it was up at 3 minutes.
No,
Thank you,
problem.
David.
I wish the person to speak in their behalf would be there and to see them and to see about what the Central Avenue Sid and the community says. I really, really want that because, you know, I live on Central Avenue, I live in the Heights, and that's what I really want.
Thank you.
Yeah, in response, I'd say we take community concerns very seriously. This temple is part of the community. It's for people in the community that don't have an alternative place to worship anywhere nearby within walking distance. And I did review the letter from the Sid. I do hear their concerns. I think they misunderstand. I would have loved to have the opportunity to meet with them. We did offer to speak. We were never scheduled to present at any meeting, but with regards to parking, it's not that there's not many people going to the temple. It's just the nature of use that they don't assemble at the same time. They go in periodically, pass through, pay their respects to different statues. And I think there's really no way to say that a commercial space would be different on there. It would also require parking in the area as the temple would. I don't see why this would be a more significant burden on parking compared to the equal floor area of a commercial space where you have customers coming in and out.
Well, how about this as a suggestion, Mr. Higgins, since you'd like the opportunity to speak to the Sid, maybe you're gonna have that since we're gonna have to adjourn this because we can't get your planner. You're gonna need your planner for this one, just in case.
Yeah, we're not going to be able to vote
Not gonna
today.
vote.
So
why don't-
it sounds like, yeah, you've got some issues to work out. We'll adjourn. Maybe you'll tell us what, you know, the conversation was with them and how you're on the same page with them.
So Francisco, where are you? There you are. I can't focus on anybody in this screen. So instead of carrying this to the 27th, maybe we should go another week beyond.
Let me just pull up my calendar. I think it's May 11th. Yeah.
That would give you a little bit more time, Mr. Higgins, no, to talk to the Sid people, whoever they are.
Yeah.
And this way, you can, maybe by then Caroline can figure out what's wrong with her computer. Go from there.
I hope.
So who's ever on the public, We'll carry this to when, Francisco?
May 11th,
Short-term memory.
with preservation of notice.
Preservation of notice, and then we'll make sure that who's ever on the screen here, at least we have the majority on May 11th, and whoever is not on May 11th, they'll read this transcript. Sound
Okay.
good, Mr. Higgins?
That sounds fine. Thank you, everyone, for your time.
No problem.
Um,
See
Thank you.
on May 11th.
Okay, take care.
Thank you.
So with that said, we have two resolutions to memorialize, and that's it. And the two resolutions, the first is Z 22-018. That was heard on March 23rd. It's 76 Hutton Street, JC LLC. A minor site plan approval with C and D variances. That's 204 Webster Avenue. That was approved, 5 in favor, 1 opposed. That evening, the acting chairman was Kim Green, and there were commissioners Arroyo, Allen, Patel, Brown, and Park. That was 5 in favor, and the 1 opposed was Commissioner Park. So all in favor of memorializing that is aye.
Aye.
Right.
The next matter was also heard on March 23rd. Same 6 commissioners, same 6 vote, 5 in favor, 1 opposed. And that case was Z 23-007. It was preliminary and final site plan approval with a D variance for conditional use. It was, the address was 660-684 Tunnelly Avenue. And again, the 6 commissioners were present. 5 voting in favor were Commissioners Arroyo, Brown, Allen, Patel, and Green. And the 1 opposed was Commissioner Park. But again, that was approved, 5 in favor, 1 opposed. So all in favor of memorializing that is aye.
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 Then that's it for the
Okay.
resolutions. So shall we convene for the evening?
Right. Everybody have a great dinner or whatever, and see you later.
Sleep, right?
Bye.
Good.
All right,
Good
good night.
night, everyone.
Night.
Night.
Take care.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thanks. Good night.